Tonight, let's set down the day. We'll walk a lantern-lit path through quiet temples, bamboo groves, and moonlit streams. Each tale is soft and simple, like a bell fading into evening. There are no problems to solve here, only the steady rhythm of breath, the kindness of awareness, and the ease of letting go. If you like, lie back. Feel your pillow hold you. Inhale gently, exhale slowly. With each story, the mind loosens, the body softens, and sleep comes like a kindly monk opening a door. The bell waits in the amber hush of evening, its bronze skin holding the day's last light. A long veranda of weathered wood breathes a faint resin scent into the air. Beyond the rail, pines edge the slope, their needles glinting as the sun slips behind the ridge. A monk carries the mallet as if it were a sleeping sparrow, steps whispering on the boards, robe hem brushing the floor in a slow tide. There is nothing hurried here. The bell has no hunger, the mountain no ambition. The monk stops, shoulders soft, face open to the valley, and the air gathers itself, expectant and kind. A breath arrives like a small boat, silent on a dark river. The monk lifts the mallet, not to strike, but to listen to the space that will receive the sound. That space is wide, valley, trees, a thin crescent moon already pale in the sky, the hush of distant water finding stone. The mallet meets the bell with a touch that is almost a bow. Bronze answers with a low, round tone that unfurls like a silk banner on a windless night. The sound is not a single thing but a living field. At its center, a warm hum. At its edges, a shimmering halo you can feel against your skin. The tone expands, drifts through pine and fog, rests on the roofs of sleeping houses, and moves through you, rib to rib, like light through water. Listen to the first long wave as it opens the room inside the chest. The body remembers how to be spacious, the belly softens, the jaw unhooks, the shoulders slip a little lower, the sound lingers, then thins, then slips into a quiet that hums with the same kindness. This is the bell's first teaching. Sound and silence are woven from the same thread. Breath and stillness are not two. Another breath enters, steady and smooth. Inhale softly to a count of 4, letting the air cool the nose, widen the ribs, lift the back of the heart. Exhale for 6, unwinding through the throat, melting the belly toward the spine. The mat beneath you receives your weight without comment. The floor receives the mat. The earth receives the floor. You are not falling. You are being held. The monk waits, eyes lowered, as if listening to a friend finish a sentence. The mallet rises again and meets bronze with the gentleness of a leaf touching water. The second strike is a deeper bloom, rounder than the first, as if the bell found its own breath. The tone moves through the body in slow rings, loosening small knots of the day. The tightness behind the eyes, the thin wire across the brow, the little guard around the heart that kept vigil through noise and tasks. One by one, these knots untie. Not by force, by resonance. Along the veranda, dust motes drift like mild constellations. A moth folds its wings against a beam, a pale comma in the half-light. The bell's note becomes a way of seeing. Pines are not static. They make a green tide in the evening breeze. Clouds are not heavy. They're traveling monasteries of water and light. A memory rises. Someone's voice, a task unfinished, a door that needed oil and patience. And the sound passes through it like wind through gauze. Nothing requires repair right now. The world does not collapse when you set down the toolkit. Your breath is a bell in the body. Inhale, the bronze gathers light. Exhale, The tone moves outward, a warm circle through chest and arms. After the exhale, a gentle pause opens, the place where the monk's hand lingers in mid-air, not quite leaving, not quite touching. Rest there for a heartbeat, then let the next breath come on its own, the way night comes, without needing to be invited. Finger by finger, awareness loosens its grip. The thumbs ease. The palms rest like small boats on a still lake. The wrists untwist. Forearms become mild, as if warmed by sun through cloth. Elbows settle with a sigh. That is not a sound but a feeling. Shoulders widen like doorways welcoming evening guests. The neck lengthens. The back of the head floats a fraction of a finger higher, as if the pillow were a cloud correcting its shape around you. The mouth fits the face the way a key fits a lock, exactly without strain. The tongue lies like a calm river, its root released. The eyes rest back in their cool caves, lids light as moth wings. The bell waits between notes. The waiting is part of its voice. The monk knows this and takes time, the way a tree takes time to grow a ring. When the mallet speaks again, the sound enters more quietly, almost from the edges inward, a delicate corona settling on you like fine rain. It carries cedar, tea, night, a faint memory of incense stored in wood for years. The tone meets breath, and the two recognize each other, old friends at a gate. This is the lesson of non-grasping that needs no lecture. The note arrives, ripens, fades. No one can hold it. No one needs to. Follow the fading as if it were a path. As the sound thins, feel the exhale lengthen by a thread. As it thins again, let the exhale add another thread. The body understands how to weave rest from air. The mind understands how to stand aside and watch the weaving. Each time the note disappears into quiet, the quiet shows itself to be full, like a garden at night. Crickets begin their small prayers in the grass. A distant stream keeps its promise to the valley. The first star looks at the bell, and the bell looks back. Inside the ribs, the heart learns the bell's patience. There is no rush to close a beat, no urgency to begin the next. It moves with the evening's pace, the pace of shadows lengthening, soup cooling, a lantern lifted, light touching a wooden threshold as if it were an old friend's cheek. Breath and pulse settle into the old rhythm that animals know under trees. The monk's posture is a lesson. Knees heavy, pelvis rooted, spine upright without hardness, as if a string tied the crown of the head to a generous branch. The chin tucks the smallest amount, guarding the gateway of the neck, like a kind sentinel. The belly is a pool where moonlight collects. The chest is both cave and sky. In this shape, breath has room, and in that room, the bell makes a home. Thoughts still appear, because that is what thoughts do. A grocery list raises its hand. A remembered phrase turns in the doorway. A soft worry about tomorrow's weather tilts its head. The bell answers each with the same bow: arise, linger, dissolve. The mind learns the bell's etiquette, how to welcome guests and not ask them to stay for winter. What remains sits beside you like an old dog who needs nothing but your company. Count 4 on the inhale, soft and even. Count 6 on the exhale, smooth and unbroken. Allow a 1-beat pause at the empty end, a little lake of stillness. Repeat, not like a task, but like rocking in a chair on a porch as night settles over the trees. The numbers are not a rule. They are lanterns along the path, showing just enough of the next few feet. The path walks itself. The bell's skin holds a map of climates, places polished by hands that steadied it, places brightened by sun, a pale scrawl where rain once ran. Every mark says, time moves through things and they become more themselves. You feel this in the way the body, shaped by years and seasons, knows exactly how to let go when given permission. Ankles slacken, calves release the day's steps, kneecaps cool, thighs spread like fields after harvest. Hips soften at the edges and breath slips more easily into the low belly. The spine, a chain of little bells, rings quietly as each vertebra finds its place. Between the shoulder blades, a window opens onto evening air. One more note from the mallet, barely a tap, more a kiss. The sound blooms without effort, and you bloom with it. You are both listener and meadow receiving dew. Every square inch of skin understands the word enough. The quiet after the sound is no longer empty. It is a gentle pressure, a hand on the back guiding you toward a bed you have already found. Even the mind's small birds, ideas and to-dos, tuck their heads beneath their wings and settle on the branch of this moment. Imagine the tone moving out across the valley until it touches a stream you cannot see. Now feel the same tone returning, not as an echo, but as a tide that gathers what has spread too thin. The day's pieces come home, the conversation, the errand, the screen's glow, the open tab, the staircase, the keys. They stack themselves neatly and close the drawer without sound. A larger room opens behind them, the room where you rest when nothing asks for you. Air is the only chore, and even that is done for you. Breath deepens again, not by design but because gravity and kindness have agreed on a plan. Inhale through the nose, cool and narrow as a mountain path. Exhale through the nose or the slightly open lips, warmer, like air leaving a tea house into night. The tongue is a soft rug on the floor of the mouth. The belly widens under the hands, then lowers. The back spreads like wings and then folds them. If there is a place that keeps tugging, a spot behind the right shoulder, a bead of tension in the jaw, a seam at the temple, offer it the next note of the bell, even if the bell is silent now. The memory of the tone is enough. Place that remembered sound in the tight place, the way you would set a cup of warm tea beside a tired friend. Leave it there, and without looking, know that it is sipped. The veranda is dimmer now. The moth has moved, lazy and content, to a place where the bell's breath touches it. The pine tips move like slow metronomes. In the kitchen, a kettle cools, metal ticking as it yields its heat back to the room. The garden path is a ribbon of pale dust under the first starlight. None of this needs your effort to continue. The bell teaches this too. The world keeps its own time, and it is gentler than you feared. The monk returns the mallet to its rest. There is no ceremony in the gesture, which is why it is perfect. Hands fold, and the eyes lift to the valley. The face is the face of anyone who has listened deeply. Simple, spacious, quietly glad. A breath moves through the monk and through you at once, like a breeze that crosses a field and a lake in one motion. The bell's voice has become the field, and you are lying in it, blades cool against the forearms, night birds speaking a language the body knows. Let the breath count fall away now, like pebbles slipping from a palm. Breathing continues without numbers, without supervision. The ribs rise and settle with the steadiness of a small boat rocking in light rain. The bed meets you the way earth meets root. The world is dim but clear, as if lamps have been turned low in a room full of friends who no longer need to speak. The bell's last echo is not at the edge of hearing. It is in the marrow, a tender hum that says yes and means it. The skin drinks cool night, the bones hum warm. The distance between sound and silence has dissolved like sugar in tea. The heart keeps time with the valley, and the valley keeps time with the stars. Breath moves. The room breathes with it, and a wide, quiet door stands open where before there was a wall. A loosened stem, a soft letting go, and the leaf drifts free with the late afternoon wind. It has been waiting without knowing it was waiting, turning sunlight into sugar through a whole season, listening to rain on its own green roof, trading breath with the wide sky. Now its work changes form. Edges curl the slightest amount. The green deepens into amber tea, and the wind arrives like a companion who knows the way. No struggle, no bargain. Just the beginning of a gentle journey through a sky already leaning toward evening. The first current lifts the leaf enough to tilt it. Veins glimmer like faint rivers in the low light. Below, the hillside opens. Terraces, stones warm from the day, a footpath that threads between tea bushes and pine roots. Up higher, the leaf spins once, slowly, a little compass finding north, and then the air steadies. The world is larger from here, but also simpler. There is movement, and there is being carried. The leaf does not add anything to this, it only agrees to it with its whole body. Breath can do the same. Inhale softly, a cool ribbon at the nose. Let the inhale lift you a finger's width inside, the way the breeze lifts the leaf. Exhale longer than the inhale, easy and unbroken, a silk stream unspooling. There is nothing to manage. The air knows its path. From the branch above the temple eaves, a monk watches, hands tucked into sleeves for warmth. The monk's face is the color of dusk and cedar smoke. The leaf rides a subtle eddy that the body recognizes from other days. Those afternoons when conversation softens and tea cools without being noticed. When you realize the chair, the floor and the ground have already accepted your weight. The breeze slows. The leaf hovers as if listening at a doorway. Then a slower, lower current catches it and carries it toward the garden. One side of the leaf remembers the tree and the sap and the shared work of a season. The other side drinks the evening's chill and the clean scent of soil. Opposites hold hands in the air. The wind is an invisible map, and the leaf reads it by touch alone. It tilts to glide beneath a string of prayer flags that whisper as if passing along a kind rumor. It sails above stone lanterns, moss rounded and plush like old pillows, and over the shoulder of a statue that has watched 10,000 autumns forget their own reasons for falling. Again, let the breath mirror this easy reading of the air. Count to 4 on the inhale, gentle as lifting a small bowl. Count to 7 on the exhale, as if you are placing that bowl down without a sound. Between breath and body, a trust builds without a single word. The leaf meets a small, playful tumble in the breeze, a slow cartwheel that turns the world upside down and right again. Sky becoming earth, earth becoming sky. Every turn shows the same truth. There is nowhere to cling that won't change shape, so the leaf relaxes. The edges loosen a little more, giving the wind a surface to hold. In the distance, a crow writes dark, cursive loops across the pale air, and farther still, smoke rises from a farmhouse, a thin brushstroke pulled upward by the same hand that guides the leaf. All things move together even when they seem separate. Somewhere, a pot lid taps twice as steam gathers. Somewhere, a footfall pauses on a threshold as someone remembers the thing they meant to say and chooses, kindly, to say it later. The leaf floats through all of this, as if through a story being told by a soft voice in a warm room. Another current bends the path toward water. The garden pond receives whatever arrives without rearranging its face to please it. needles, blossoms, moonlight, the occasional startled frog. The leaf touches down with the delicacy of a thought that does no harm. Surface tension holds it like a small boat, a patient cradle woven by physics and kindness. The water accepts the leaf and also shows it the world. In the shallow mirror, the leaf sees sky, branches, and its own gentle shape floating between them. Interbeing is not an idea here. It is simple optics turned into tenderness. Breath can float this way. On the inhale, feel the body widen like a pond making room. On the exhale, feel the body carry and reflect without effort. The air itself is the boatman. You are both passenger and water. Ripples walk outward, ring after ring, touching a lily pad where a dragonfly rests with glassy wings. The rings go on, past reeds and shadowed stones, far enough that each small wave barely moves the surface and yet still somehow speaks. On the underside of a leafless branch that leans over the pond, the reflection of a thin moon threads through the ripples and stitches sky to water with silver thread. The floating leaf turns, slow as a second hand in a quiet room. Its veins drink the last warmth stored from the afternoon sun. A pair of carp roam beneath, wide fins rowing the dusk. When they pass under the leaf, the water lifts and lowers it, the width of a breath. Above, the monastery bell remembers how to be silent after singing. The leaf, the fish, the bell, the water, separate names for one evening. Let the exhale lengthen another tiny measure, not by pushing, more by consenting. The body knows where to find the extra thread of release. The chest loosens at the edges, the belly lowers, the back spreads like paper that was folded and now rests flat. If counting helps, inhale for 4 through the nose, exhale for 8 through the nose or gently parted lips. If counting drifts away, let it go, the way a good story lets go of its own plot and becomes atmosphere. The leaf does not seek the center of the pond or the edge. It responds to what touches it. A breeze combs the surface in one direction. A rivulet from the garden stone spout pushes the other way. The leaf finds the quiet seam between them and rests there a while, as if the pond had offered it a pillow stitched from opposing forces. A crane steps in the shallows with the caution and authority of an elder entering a conversation. Water purls on its legs, trembling with their own small moons, then slides back to join itself. Nothing is alone. The wind moves the leaf moves the water moves the reeds stir the air carries the scent of wet stone to the veranda. On the veranda, someone inhales and calls it fresh. That breath warms the night loosens the hands of the pine. Interbeing is a way the world holds hands with itself in every direction. A memory rises of the leaf's months on the branch. How spring asked for boldness, and summer asked for endurance, and early autumn asked for color, and now the wind asks for trust. The leaf does not think these words. It expresses them by doing what it does, joining the next thing without asking it to be more comfortable than it is. The leaf has never been outside of home. Home did not live only on the branch. Home lives where movement and acceptance touch. Breath knows this too. On the inhale, feel the home that is height and wideness, space beneath the ribs, coolness at the nostrils. On the exhale, feel the home that is warmth and settling, weight into the mattress, the hush that gathers in a room when lamps are lowered. Both homes are one address, written with different ink. A soft rain begins, fat, slow drops that touch the pond like small bells. Each drop booms a circle outward, crossing the rings the leaf already made, weaving a net that catches nothing and holds everything. The leaf's surface beads with pearls of water that magnify its tiny worlds. Fibers like braided paths. Freckles where summer sun stitched its mark. The faint shadow of a small insect's visit earlier in the day. The raindrops slide, gather, tip over the edge, and return to the pond with a sound both brief and eternal. Raindrop, ripple, breath. Inhale under the roof of the chest as if stepping beneath the eaves during weather. Exhale into the open where rain refreshes the ground. If the mind brings a thought, let the thought be a drop. Let it form, fall, and join its kin without commentary. If another comes, the same. 1,000 drops do not burden a pond. They teach it to sing. As the rain thins, a little wind returns, rearranged by the weather. It nudges the leaf toward the edge where roots drink. The leaf's edges brush a stone, and for a moment it catches. Caught, not trapped, the way a hand lingers in another hand when a goodbye takes the time it deserves. Then water lifts, and the leaf slips free and continues. Even the brief pause had its place. Even the moment of seeming stillness carried motion within it. The monk on the veranda watches without leaning forward. A warmth spreads across the face, the sort that comes when things show how to be themselves. The leaf does not attempt to be a bird, a fish, a thought, a rule. It is a leaf. It is also a boat, a mirror, a lesson, a small raft for raindrops, a traveling patch of summer moving through autumn. In this, it is a teacher with no biography. Night gathers itself from the corners. The first crickets begin their steady counting. A low mist rises from the pond like breath from a sleeping animal. The leaf rests near the bank in a pool of quiet made by stone and root. Above, the branches hold pockets of darkness and small coins of starlight. The wind, satisfied with its work, loosens its grip on the hillside and goes to see about a distant field. Let the body join the hillside in this loosening. The toes uncurl, the arches yield, the ankles give back the day's distance. Calves lengthen as if laid out on cool grass. Knees feel a wash of lake water beneath the patellae, circles that ease the edges. Thighs soften outward and downward, heavy in the best way. Hips widen, weight shared with the bed, like two friends sharing a bench at dusk. The lower back releases a little story it was telling and becomes a meadow again. Breath moves through all of this, like a breeze that does not need to be named. In the near distance, a fox crosses the path with the quiet competence of someone who has never once argued with the wind. The leaf, the fox, the moving air, the standing stone, the listening monk, each is entire, each is part, each makes room without losing itself. The pond holds the whole arrangement in its patient eye. Inhale the way the leaf took in light, not in a rush, but as a habit of belonging. Exhale the way the leaf gives itself, back to water, to soil, to root, without drama. Somewhere in the dark soil at the edge of the pond, mycelium threads consider their slow business, the world's quiet economy of returning. The leaf will join that network by and by, sugars turned into next spring's green. A lineage of nourishment in which nothing is wasted and no gesture is small. A tiny breeze touches the surface again, just enough to move the leaf half an inch so it finds an even stiller pocket of water. Edges settle. Reflection clears. The thin moon comes to sit fully within the shallow bowl of the leaf, a boat carrying a boat. If anything in the body still waits at the doorway, invite it to sit inside. There is room. The pond proves this. The sky proves this. The wind has always been this generous. Breath continues without counting. It knows the route. In the space under each exhale, there is a moment like the stillness between wind gusts when the leaf hangs as if time had set it on a shelf. That stillness is not empty. It is a gracious pause in which the pond regards the sky and the sky regards the pond, and neither needs to speak because each already understands. Everything that touched the leaf today continues to travel, sunlight as warmth beneath bark, wind as memory in grass, rain as dark sweetness in soil. The leaf, afloat and easy, rides a line of gentleness drawn by all of it at once. Breath and body can ride that same line now, upholding nothing, resisting nothing, being carried by the common kindness that is present whenever the world is allowed to be the world. The moon clears the ridge as if lifted by careful hands, a pale coin settling above the monastery roof. Old tiles drink the light and return it in a soft sheen, each curved row a quiet wave across the dark. A broom whispers in the courtyard, straw brushing stone in an even rhythm that sounds like breathing made visible. The novice moves slowly, the sleeves of the robe gathering cool night around the wrists. Pine needles lie everywhere, golden threads spun out of daylight, scattered by wind, by time, by the simple habit of trees. The broom is not heavy. The work is not urgent. The novice thinks of the moon, how clean, how steady, and wonders how to make the mind like that. The thought arrives with a tiny tightening at the brow, a small leaning forward inside the skull, as if the future might be coaxed closer. The teacher notices without looking directly. One finger tilts toward the broom, the faintest gesture, like pointing out a star that was always there. The message is older than words. The novice hears it in the arms, in the spine. The broom moves again. Stroke, gather, stroke, gather. A neat line appears along a flagstone, and then another. The novice's breath finds the same cadence. Inhale a bit, exhale a little longer, the body smoothing itself like a sheet being drawn flat. The moon lays down a long, bright rectangle across the stones. The broom crosses it and brings a soft glitter of dust. The novice sees that too, and an instinct to apologize flickers. The teacher sets a lantern on the step and lets the thought fall quiet. Dust is part of the moon's shine here. The courtyard accepts both. The smell of resin and cool clay. A faint trace of tea from the kitchen. The sound of a stream beyond the wall climbing down stones. The world arranges itself without insistence. The broom's straws splay like fingers and gather like fingers, read in the ground as they go. The novice's hands learn the delicate pressure that lifts what should be lifted and leaves what belongs. Some needles come at once, some resist and then slide free. Some ask to be circled and approached from a friendlier angle. Breath matches the intelligence in the hands. Inhale through the nose for 4, the ribs widening sideways, the back filling as if a sail caught a mild wind. Exhale for 6, lose an inch of height you didn't need. Let the belly drift toward the spine. Let the shoulders hang from the collarbones like coats on a peg. A pause at the end, a small lake of stillness. Then inhale again, quiet and complete. The moon does not hurry across the roof. You do not have to hurry across the courtyard. A moth writes a pale sentence near the lantern and then edits it away. A gecko taps once, like a bead dropped on a tabletop. Somewhere above, a nightbird clears its throat and remembers the tune. The novice hears everything and also nothing, because attention is broad without being busy. The broom's whisper becomes the sound of the breath in the throat. The line of gathered needles becomes the line of the spine, easy and firm. The mind unclenches the hand it was making without noticing. Clarity, the novice was thinking. But clarity is not made. It's what remains when sweeping is just sweeping. The teacher has said this before and will not say it now. The courtyard itself teaches. Every pass of the broom reveals what was always under the needles, stone, steady, holding moonlight whether or not it was seen. The mind is like that stone when it is not covered with what fell from 1,000 small weathers. The broom is the breath. The needles are what the day left behind. Return to the place in the body where the breath touches easiest. For some, it is the cool at the nostrils. For some, the rise of the chest like a pool lifting beneath moonlight. For some, the belly's slow tide. Choose one and call it home. Sweep there. Each inhale, the broom draws close, gathers. Each exhale, the broom moves away, clears. Do not make a ceremony. The ceremony is already happening. The novice discovers that the broom works best when the wrists are not in charge, but the whole arm moves from the shoulder, and the shoulder moves because the spine allowed it, and the spine is free because the legs agreed to be roots. The knees bend a little. Weight shifts through the feet like water redistributing itself in a lake after a bird lands. When a thought returns, moon, mind, purity, how, when? The novice notices the extra weight in the broom, the slight catch in the rhythm, and responds by letting the breath lengthen. The thought loosens like a pine needle from bark and becomes one more thing to sweep kindly into the pile. The pile grows. It is neat without being fussy. The novice smiles without showing teeth. The teacher moves along the veranda, checking nothing, aligning a cushion, straightening a sandal, touching a bell rope the way one checks the weather. Lightly. The moon is high now, its light cool and steady like water that has settled after being poured. A cloud crosses it, and for a moment the courtyard's brightness dims. The novice looks up. The teacher doesn't, not out of indifference, but because the teacher knows the moon and the cloud are in long conversation, and neither needs help from humans. Inside the novice, a similar cloud passes. A thought about the right way to stand, the right way to breathe. It crosses the face of awareness, softens the edges of the experience, produces a brief urge to correct. The broom pauses. The teacher clears a leaf from the step with the side of a sandal and keeps moving. The novice notices the pause, hears the small creak of doubt like a gate not fully open, and returns the broom to motion. The cloud thins by itself. The moon returns by itself. The courtyard never left. Breath shows how this works. Let the inhale be as it is, not forced through a straw or ironed into shape. Let the exhale be a shade longer, not pushed, simply allowed to continue until it completes its sentence. At the end of the exhale, wait a beat without holding. The kind of waiting that happens when a friend reaches the end of a story and both of you sit in the meaning for a second. Then the next inhale arrives on its own, like a polite knock on a door that was already open. The novice's body becomes very specific and very general at once. The soles feel the coolness of stone and its faint grain. The calves feel their own length. The knees enjoy being slightly bent. The thighs carry weight not as a burden, but as proof of participation. The pelvis sits like a bowl that has chosen not to spill. The spine rises as if remembering a simple promise. The neck releases its job of holding up the world. The head floats as if on a small cushion of air. The face becomes the face of anyone asleep on a train who trusts the conductor. A breeze moves through the courtyard, and more needles fall. Thin gold notes on a slate score. The novice almost sighs and then doesn't. The broom is there. The body is there. The moon is there. The new needles arrive the way thoughts arrive. They are not mistakes in the sky. They are what happens when trees are trees. The novice sweeps again and becomes part of the weather. The pile grows another inch. The mind does not measure inches. At the edge of the courtyard, a jar catches water from a bamboo spout. Plink, plink, a patient metronome that does not insist. The novice's breath and the water's rhythm agree to be cousins. The teacher sits on the step and watches how the broom's path gently avoids a beetle traveling on business. Compassion arises without order words. The broom's straw parts and then rejoins, as if it were remembering something mild and true about the world's fabric. Clarity shows itself not as a polished mirror without dust, but as the ability to see dust as part of the mirror's life. The moon is not bothered by the thin cloud. The cloud is not ashamed to cross the moon. The novice is not wrong to think. The thoughts are not wrong to occur. The broom does not scold the needles. The needles do not resent being gathered. Everything takes the position that lets everything else be at ease. If the mind wanders to tomorrow, sweep tomorrow into the line of breath and let it sit there until morning. If the mind wanders to yesterday, sweep yesterday into the same line and let it compost. If the mind wanders to the idea of a mind that never wanders, smile inside the ribs and sweep that too. The courtyard does not prefer itself after the sweeping. It simply reveals itself. The novice does not become a different person. The person reveals itself. The moon does not become more the moon when the cloud passes. It becomes exactly what was always present, now seen. The teacher rises and takes the broom for a few strokes. The sound does not change. The line of needles continues as if the same hand had never moved. The novice learns this in the muscles. That sweeping is what is happening, not who is doing. The broom returns to the novice's hands, and the hands feel like a good tool in the care of a larger quiet. Tiredness arrives and is welcomed. The body names it without drama, not as a problem, but as a message from the legs to the heart. Enough for now. The novice finishes the row, bears a square of stone the size of a pillow, and sets the broom gently against the wall. Breath stands with the novice in that space, the two of them looking down at the exposed stone as if it were a small altar. Inhale for 4, exhale for 6. Pause. Somewhere, a dog barks twice and then remembers sleep. The teacher nods toward the pile of needles, the way they shine in moonlight, the way they hold a season's story, the way they will become soil, then root, then leaf, then shade. Nothing is wasted. No motion disappears. The novice feels this in the back and the belly, a through line that does not need a name. The broom was sweeping the courtyard. It was also sweeping the mind. It was also writing in the dust. You are already here. The two stand a while, not to admire, not to evaluate, simply because standing is what bodies like to do after moving steadily. The moon has climbed to the angle where its light lays a thin path across the jar's surface. The bamboo spout drops one more bead of water that pushes a ring outward across that path, and the ring reaches the jar's lip and dissolves into air as if greeting the breeze. Breath follows it all the way out and all the way back. The courtyard is a chest. The chest is a courtyard. The broom is at rest and still sweeping, the way a bell is silent and still sounding. A cloud returns. The light softens. The novice does not look up this time. The broom has taught what it came to teach. The mind clears when the hands attend to what they are already doing. Each stroke of straw was one exhale. Each clear flagstone was a small moon revealed. The roof holds the larger moon. The courtyard holds the smaller ones. The body holds both without strain. The night keeps time with the breath, and the breath keeps time with the night. The work goes on by itself, even when the broom is leaning, even when no one is asking how to begin. Water decides to sing before it boils. a soft rising hush that gathers in the iron kettle like wind in pines. The kitchen is small and square, borders drawn by shelves rubbed smooth by years of hands and cloth. A low lamp warms one corner. The rest belongs to shadow, patient and kind. On the wooden table, a bowl waits on a folded cloth the colour of wheat, and beside it the tin of leaves sits with a dent in the lid that has become part of the family of objects here. Nothing new, nothing flashy, everything honest. The monk lifts the lid, and even that is gentle, no clatter, only the tiny breath of air releasing. Steam threads through the spout, first a ribbon, then a veil, wandering into the lamp's glow and disappearing as if it had only come to introduce the evening. The kettle's handle gathers warmth. The monk's hands fold around it the way you cradle a bird, enough to hold, not enough to press. The water is not ready yet. The monk listens and sets the kettle back to its ring of heat and simply stands, palms on the table, feeling the grain. Waiting is already part of drinking. It makes room for what is about to arrive. Breath matches the room. Inhale softly through the nose to a count of 4, the coolness brushing the top of the throat. Exhale for 6, a gentle thread unspooling, the belly lowering as if setting down a small parcel. The shoulders understand the invitation and settle a finger's width. The jaw sets down the habit of holding. The tongue rests wide and quiet. In the tin, the leaves are curled. Little question marks that don't need an answer. The monk tips a small spoon into the bowl, and the leaves tumble with a shy sound, like rain beginning on paper. They smell of hills and wood, and something sweet that doesn't insist on a name. The kettle's voice deepens. The surface within has its dance. First tiny fisheye bubbles at the edges, then a calm rolling at the center. More river than pot. The monk lifts the handle again, and the water says yes in a way that is older than words. Steam climbs the lamplight and shows its shape for a breath before becoming room again. The monk warms the bowl first, a quiet rinse, turning it in slow circles so heat travels into the clay. The hands receive that heat back through the glaze. Warmth walks up the wrists and rests at the fold of the elbow. The water is poured away. The bowl is ready like a seat pulled from a corner and patted for a friend. Leaves enter, soft and dark. Water follows, not in a gush but a smooth river with shoulders. The leaves bloom into their old shapes as if remembering a spring hillside all at once. The first scent rises, a green you can almost taste in your bones, and the entire room lifts its head to listen. This is ceremony without costume. The way the monk's hand hovers a heartbeat over the rim to feel the warmth. The way the breath pauses to let the perfume move through the nose and the mind at the same time. The way the lamp throws a pale moon onto the table and the bowl swims inside it like a small boat on still water. The monk does nothing extra. Doing nothing extra is the whole of the work. Breathe like water poured on leaves. Inhale for 4 and feel the ribs widen, the back broadening as if it had remembered wings. Exhale for 7, weighted and kind. Warmth drifting down the spine like a blanket sliding into place. A pause at the bottom. Not a hold, a listening. Then let the next inhale come on its own. The leaves settle, then rise, then settle again. They are busy without rushing. Tiny eddies touch the bowl's sides and return to the center where a small cone of heat keeps returning everything to itself. The monk watches and does not count seconds. The body counts with scent and with the way the steam touches the face and with the color smoothing from pale straw to soft gold. The first pour is brief and complete. The stream describes a silver line into the cup, and the cup catches what is given without wanting more. Hands wrap the cup, and the cup wraps the hands back. Heat meets skin, and the immediate world becomes very specific. The precise temperature where comfort begins, the texture of glaze at the lip, the way a rising scent seems to open a window behind the eyes. The monk brings the cup near, not to drink yet, but to let the nose and the heart arrive first. The surface trembles once and then stills, a perfect circle holding a sky that smells like rain thinking about arriving. The first sip is not a sip, but a greeting. The warm line travels tongue, throat, chest, and you can almost hear it as it settles in the belly, a low bell struck underwater. Joy hides in small temperatures. The cup is not as hot as before. It is exactly as warm as this moment asks. Breathe with it. Inhale the steam lightly. Exhale into the cup, not to cool it, but to meet its warmth with yours. The wrists soften another measure, elbows hanging like fruit. The cup empties and fills again. Each pour carries the leaves' new way of speaking. Softer now, rounder, a gentle stone rolled by a river. The monk smiles, not at anything in particular. Smiling is simply what the face does when it is not needed for other work. The kettle sits back on its ring, quiet now, still giving heat in small breaths you can see if you look through the lamp's halo. The bowl glows from within like a small lantern. The room's edges are friendly. A draught moves under the door and plays with the candle's flame, and a thin ribbon of shadow walks around the cup and then sits down. Somewhere in the rafters, a beam creaks, the wood shifting its weight in a way that is as natural as the monk shifting theirs on the bench. The kettle lid ticks softly as it contracts and expands. The world is speaking in a language of small sounds, and every word says the same thing. Here. If the mind arrives with plans, it sets them quietly beside the tin. If it arrives with worries, they take a place on the chair by the door, where they can watch the steam and cool down to room temperature. Cooking, cleaning, the letter that wants to be written, the step that wanted oil. Each one rests a palm on the table, then lets go. The leaves make new letters in the bowl each time the water touches them. Brief and unreadable and perfect. The monk reads them anyway, which is to say, looks and breathes. Let the breath take the shape of the cup. Inhale like steam, rising lightly through the throat. Exhale like warmth, spreading slowly across the upper chest and down both arms to the fingertips. Imagine the breath has weight as soft as cloth. Lay it over the shoulders and feel the trapezius unknit. Let it drape across the back and notice how the spine sighs into its true curve. Between the shoulder blades, a small door opens. Cool air passes. You become larger without moving. The first steep holds the hillside in spring. The second steep holds rain. The third steep holds evening. By the fourth, the leaves are telling stories of soil and stone, of insects busy at dawn, of the hands that harvested them by habit and song. Each cup is not better than the last. Each is a different key on the same flute. The monk drinks slowly and rests the cup down without the smallest sound. The table has learned the weight and answers with stillness. The cup's rim touches the lip and transfers a line of warmth that writes its way inward. The tongue moves, but not to evaluate, not to score, not to compare. It simply receives and passes the message along, like a monk moving a bell rope at dusk. Clear, unadorned, entirely sufficient. The throat opens as if a friend had knocked and you said, "Come in," without rising. The liquid reaches the stomach, and the stomach answers with a low, old gratitude that the whole body hears. The toes uncurl inside their soft cloth. Arches give back the day. Calves lengthen, knees rest into their hinges, thighs spread their weight into the seat like a fan unfolding. A small plate holds 2 slices of pear, white and quiet as the moon. The knife sits where it was placed, not in a pose, simply home. The monk lifts one slice, and the fruit scent joins the tea in a conversation that contains no argument. The pear's coolness arrives where the tea was warm, and the two greet each other and become something third you can only call enough. The body recognizes this word and spells it with a long exhale that ends in a small, almost imperceptible hum. Outside, a gust drops 3 leaves past the window, then forgets what it was doing and wanders off to find another roof to visit. In the garden, bamboo clicks once like sticks in a child's hands. The stream keeps its agreement with the valley, stepping down stone after stone. The cup refills, and the steam writes its brief thoughts in the air with a brush made of heat and water. The words vanish and do not need to be stored. The knowing they carried remains, unfiled. Take a breath and count, not because numbers matter, but because counting holds your place in the sentence of the body. 4 in, feeling the delicate chill at the nostrils, the wideness across the collarbones. 7 out, the belly gliding toward the spine, the face loosening, the space behind the eyes clearing like a window wiped with one slow cloth. If counting drops away, let it go. The breath will keep track of itself. Put trust in that the way the monk trusts the kettle to sing without being watched. The monk turns the bowl to show the leaves a new angle of water and sets the lid not quite tight so steam can exchange stories with the room. No one is keeping time. Time keeps itself. The lamp leans a bit toward the last inches of oil. The flame shortens and steadies, a calm heartbeat visible on the table's varnish. The monk looks at the sheen, at the little moon that appears there, and at the way steam crosses it and disappears into wood grain. The wood keeps those disappearances the way a friend keeps confidences, quietly, with warmth. The body, warmed from inside, grows curious about comfort. It experiments, shoulders an inch lower, chin the smallest nod, hands cupped more loosely, spine long but not strict, pelvis tipping until the lower back's music finds the right key. The seat meets the body exactly. The feet discover flatness and relax as if the earth had placed a palm beneath them. The breath comes and goes, and sometimes rests a heartbeat longer at the empty end, and that rest feels like a lake at dawn when mist has not decided whether it is water or sky. The kettle asks to be fed, and the monk adds a swallow of water. The brief tremor of pour, the hiss like a moth landing, the return to low murmur. The room contains the entire cycle of weather in a handful of corners. Heat, cool, vapor, liquid, cloud, rain, river, and lake. Tea is a small translation between these states the way kindness is a small translation between 2 people who already belong to the same day. If a thought arrives to compare this cup to the last, the monk bows to the thought and lets it sit on the sill where the glass is cool. The cup refuses to be measured by its neighbor. The leaves unfolded differently this time. A fraction more water, a fraction less waiting. The difference is not an error. It is a way of being faithful to what is present. The mind learns this by watching steam, choose a new path and not arguing. Hold the cup near the heart and breathe so the cup feels it. Let the warmth enter the ribs and soften the tissue that remembers small collisions from the day. An awkward word, a door that resisted, a headline you carried longer than was good for you. The warmth moves in circles, not lines. It reaches the back of the heart, where the body sometimes forgets to send attention. That place lights, not like a lamp, more like embers agreeing to glow again. The last steeps are light, but not empty. They carry whisper and trace and a sweetness that says, nothing wasted. The monk pours, waits, pours, waits, and between these little rivers, the body discovers more of itself. The wrist bones seem to have more space between them, as if the tea had oiled time. The neck's atlas tilts a breath, and the world fits inside the skull with ease. Muscles in the face that once guarded the gate look out and see there is nothing to guard against and go back to their homes. The tin receives its leaves again, now loosened, broadened, darker with their gift. Tomorrow, perhaps, they will meet water once more, softer yet, or they will meet soil. Either way, the cycle does not end, it curves. The lid clicks with a sound that could be mistaken for insignificant if you were not paying attention. The click is a punctuation mark. The sentence continues in the belly. A droplet slides down the side of the bowl, pausing twice as if reconsidering, then falls to the cloth and disappears into it, leaving a dark coin that fades to even. The cloth keeps that for a time, then releases it to the room. Your body does this with the day. The tea simply shows you the choreography in a place where you can witness it without ache. One more cup, held long before it is sipped, because holding is also drinking. The fingers memorize the exact curve at the lip, the porous warmth, the way clay seems to breathe with you. When you finally lift the cup, it is lighter, but not by much. The liquid meets the mouth, and there is no searching for flavor anymore, no hunting for note or finish. There is only meeting. The tea is the cup, is the room, is the breath. The monk swallows and feels the throat open like a path through bamboo, where the wind already knows the way. Breath again, one gentle cycle to seal what needs no sealing. 4 in, 7 out, a quiet pause. The chest settles, the belly rests, the pelvis tilts until gravity and comfort shake hands. The hands place the cup down, and the cup does not complain. The kettle purls softly, and then forgets to speak at all. The lamp lowers its voice to a whisper. The room is large with ordinary blessings. Steam no longer rises, but its memory warms the air like the last smile from a friend at the door. Beneath a clear, shallow stream, a grey stone rests, half buried in sand as fine as ground rice. Water glides over its back with a sound like silk drawn across wood. Sunlight breaks through the surface and lays moving lattices on the stone, bright fishbones of light that shift with each ripple. On one side, a fringe of moss holds fast and combs the current. On the other, the smooth curve where countless seasons have rubbed away, every angle gleams like a quiet shoulder. The stone does not lean into the water, and it does not brace against it. It simply receives, and because it receives, it becomes softer, truer to itself. Upstream, the current slips around a fallen branch and fans into clear, slow eddies. Silt rises for a moment, clouds the pool, then settles back to the bed like a flock returning to roost. A small trout hovers, finning almost imperceptibly, and then writes its silver name through the water and is gone. Overhead, alder leaves tremble and trade shade for coins of sun. The stone rests under all of it, no more interested in being a fish than in being a tree. The stone practices the oldest posture. Enough. Let breath practice the same. Inhale gently through the nose to a count of 4, coolness touching the back of the throat and the sides of the ribs widening like banks making room for a river. Exhale for 6 or 7, unspooling in one smooth thread, belly softening towards spine, shoulders releasing the small grip they keep for later. At the end of the exhale, let there be a small pause, not a hold, more like the calm place behind a rock where minnows rest. Then inhale again, without summoning it. Let the river return by itself. The stone's history is written in quiet details, a pale crescent scar where winter ice kissed and left its mark, a scatter of orange lichen like tiny map islands, a seam that gathers fallen needles in the first weeks of autumn and returns them as mulch to the bank in spring. When the snowmelt comes, the current thickens, green and strong, and the stone learns to bow a little deeper without moving at all. When summer thins the stream to glass, water drapes over the stone like a shawl and warms in the sun. Dragonflies rest and polish their wings on its dry crown. In late year, leaves pass, gold and russet, and pin themselves for a moment in the eddy behind the stone, then lift and travel on. In the coldest nights, a skin of ice forms, the stream talking in a softer voice through narrow throats. The stone remains, wintering without complaint, and the water remembers the route, even when the light is thin. Breathe with these seasons. Let an inhale be the lifting of snowmelt, ribs rising, chest brightening. Let an exhale be summer's long, warm spill, slow, generous, untangling what clenches. Another inhale, leaf-light and simple. Another exhale, clear as frost, smoothing the mind the way ice makes the surface plain. A mild wind walks down the valley, and the stream's skin shows it in ripples, a travelling script no one needs to decipher. The stone hears the language but does not translate. The day's fragments arrive as the current. A phrase someone said stuck like a twig on the edge. The small ache of a task undone. A bit of leaf turning in the swirl. The image of a door all day in need of oil. A tiny squeak of sand under the rush. The stream does not keep these. It does not shove them away either. They meet the stone, change shape, and continue. Awareness can be like this, a steady bed that makes room for what passes without becoming it. Let attention be placed, as if you could set a smooth pebble, 2 fingers below the navel. Feel breath gather there first. Inhale for 4, let that quiet weight become buoyant. Exhale for 8, let the pebble sink, slow and sure, to the bottom of a clear pool. The jaw loosens, the tongue spreads wide and rests like a calm river in its banks. The eyes nestle back into their caves, lids light as the belly of a leaf. The back of the neck lengthens by a breath. The crown tilts toward the sky, just enough to allow space between vertebrae. Like the stone, you do not have to move much to allow everything else to move around you. Sometimes the stream rises in sudden weather. Up on the ridge, rain begins hard, and brown water thick with leaf and twig comes shouldering down, shouldering everything down with it. The stone feels the surge in its bones. The roar does not ask permission. Foam crowns the crest of waves that seem too large for such a small creek. For an hour, maybe more, the stone disappears under commotion. The push of water, the drum of gravel, the hammering talk of storm. Then the sky opens a blue window. The flood walks away muttering. The stream clears the way a face clears after tears, brighter than before. The stone reappears exactly where it was, edges a whisper softer, story a little longer. It has learned something that has no words. Force spends itself, steadiness grows. When the mind surges that way, news, memory, sudden worry blowing down the ridge, be the stone. Sit in your own stream bed and let what rises rise. Keep the exhale long, like a river carrying foam to the bend until foam is only water again. Feel the spine settle into a line that could be traced by a finger of light. Let the shoulders be banks that do not argue with the flood. Let the belly be the steady ground beneath chatter. Observe how, after a time, the brown water clears by itself. At mid-morning, A child sometimes comes with bare feet to step hops across the shallow, planting each foot on a stone, arms out like wings. The chosen stones are the ones that do not wobble. Today, the child's heel finds our stone and stands for 3 seconds that stretch long enough to become a lifetime. The stone receives, weight flows through it into the earth, and the child, trust reaching through souls, leaps away, laughing. The lesson is not announced. You can hold without clinging. You can support without claiming. You can be a foundation and still be a riverstone whose nature is ease. Let the feet learn. Wiggle each toe, slow as leaves turning in a current. Let arches soften. Imagine stream water sliding through the bones. Ankles release their small, constant caution. Calves lengthen like long grass in a creek. Knees widen and settle, 2 smooth pebbles in perfect alignment. Thighs spread like fields after rain. Hips widen to become banks. Pelvis becomes a bowl that holds just enough and does not spill. The lower back sets down the day's bundle. The spine rises, a series of rounded riverstones stacked by an unhurried hand. Shoulders slacken. Collarbones drift apart like sunlight widening on water. Trout return to hover and eat the tiny events of current. A water strider writes a motionless poem on motion. Mayflies lift from undersides of stones, shake dry, and fly into the afternoon to become what the trout will remember. The stone keeps no ledger. Its way of keeping is to be kept, to be part of a bed that everything rests on without noticing. If thought arrives saying, "I must hold every drop," it is invited to sit on the bank and listen. The river holds itself. Breathing like this is the practice of learning from the stone. Inhale, ribs widen, back broadens, skin cools. Exhale, warmth drops through the chest and belly, and then let the breath finish itself. In that quiet after, feel how the body makes a little pocket of stillness behind the heart, the eddy where kindness stayed all along, waiting. In the late light, the stream throws coins of sun against the underrock world. Beneath the stone, a catfish hides, whiskers tasting the soft roll of sand. Buried deeper, the cool earth carries memory of snow. You carry these layers too. Surface, undersurface, deep. On the surface, the skin drinks air and the ears hear leaves. Undersurface, muscles lengthen and the heart sets a steady metronome in the shadow of the sternum. Deep, bones hum a note as old as basalt and riverbeds. Let each breath touch all layers, gentle as water passing through gravel, leaving everything cleaner for having gone by. A maple leaf arrives and sticks in the stone's lee, amber with a seam of red, trembling in the current like a small hand waving hello. It rests there long enough to catch its breath, then lifts and slips away. Thoughts can do this. Allow them the lee. Do not pin them with attention like insects. Give them a curl of quiet and they will find the moment to move on. The stone teaches hospitality without invitation cards. When clouds gather and the sun goes shy, the water turns a color that makes fish invisible and stones seem closer to the surface. The stone's top cools in a breath, its belly stays cold, its middle keeps a pleasant warm where light had soaked in all day. Within a single body, multiple weathers. The body you inhabit is the same, crown cooled by air, chest warmed from breath, belly holding an ember of tea or soup, feet carrying the day's shade. Sense them. Inhale under the crown, exhale into the belly, and let the feet be stones set in earth. Now a gust crosses the pool and a pattern appears. Chevrons racing downstream, arrows of texture pointing 1,000 fingers to the bend. For 3 heartbeats, the stream shows the wind, then the wind goes on to another hill, and the surface smooths back to glass. Notice how easily the water demonstrates impermanence. Notice how little it costs the water to change. The stone changes more slowly, but it changes too. Each soft strike of sand, each winter of freeze and thaw carving a truer roundness. Neither resists, they participate. If there is a hard place in the body, a knot at the right shoulder blade, a tight ring at the brow, imagine setting the stone's patience there. Place a hand and let its weight be riverbed. Inhale around the knot as water around rock. Exhale across it. Time will do the polishing if force does not interfere. Counting can help. Breathe in for 5, breathe out for 8. Do this 3 times and then forget the numbers and breathe like the stream when no one's watching. The monk comes at dusk and kneels on the bank, sleeves rolled. Fingers slip into the water and touch the slick back of the stone, then the rough behind, then the seam of tiny shells anchored like stars. The monk smiles, not at the stone exactly, but at what the stone says without voice. A novice waits with a question that does not need to be asked. The monk lifts a pebble, places it in the novice's palm, and closes their fingers around it. The novice listens with the hand a while and feels how the pebble contains afternoon heat on one side and stream cool on the other. How it is small enough to carry and heavy enough to keep one honest about gravity. The novice pockets the lesson without words. You can pocket it too. Picture a small, smooth stone resting in your belly, shining faintly with every breath. When thoughts rush, feel the stone's weight. When feelings pour like sudden rain, rest your awareness where the pebble waits. When nothing much happens, keep company with it, quiet, agreeable, without trying to wring anything from the moment. Each exhale buffets and polishes, each inhale bathes and brightens. Over time, and the stone knows what time is, the edges of worry round off, the angles of self-talk soften, the mind's river clears between its storms. Night leans closer. The first bat slices the air above the riffles. Stars come one by one, then by handful. The stream turns from silver to dark pewter. Sound remains, the little never-ending conversation of water touching stone, stone accepting water, sand agreeing to go where it's sent and then settle again. The stone cools, the day's borrowed warmth returning to the stream and the sky. Beneath, the bed holds steady. On the bank, grasses find the night breeze and bow without breaking. Breath keeps this cadence. Inhale small and complete, as if tasting the cool on the underside of starlight. Exhale long, as if smoothing a hand over river and rock from source to mouth. Feel the ribs soften at the back, where breath often forgets to visit. Feel the diaphragm descend as a patient moon lowering itself into reflection. Feel the pelvic floor let go the way sand lets go of footprints underwater. Somewhere in the middle of the stream bed, silence makes a promise to sound, and sound keeps it, endlessly. Somewhere in the middle of the chest, stillness makes the same promise to breath. The promise is not dramatic. I will meet you, you will meet me. We will make a world together in which nothing has to be chased through thorns. The stone knows this. It has always known this. You know it too whenever you let a current pass through without turning it into a project. If worry tries to build a dam upstream, notice how quick water is to climb and foxtail and froth. Then notice how a single well-placed letting go dismantles walls. This can be as small as releasing your jaw or widening your eyelids to expose more cool air to the sclera. It can be as simple as lengthening the next exhale by the width of a heartbeat. A river does not debate. It feels and finds. Over time, a faint groove widens around the stone's flank where water learned to go. That groove is kindness carved into the world by patience. In you, a similar groove forms with each breath you give to this practice. A track the mind can find even in weather. A route the body knows, even when the head is full of branches. You do not need to remember the map. The map remembers you. Shallows murmur to deeps, and the deeps answer with quiet. The stone is a soft, dark shape now. The moss is a darker fringe. The current is touch more than sight. An owl calls twice and stops. The echo keeps walking. Silt that rose in the late stir settles into precise places, each grain choosing its home as if invited. The stone, in its patience, has given everything a place to rest against. Breath gives you this, moment after moment, a place to rest against in the ongoing stream. Dusk gathers first in the high branches, then slips down the trunks to the path where a line of small lanterns waits, each one wearing a paper shade the colour of warm honey. Their circles of light overlap like gentle breaths, lighting only what is near. 2 steps of gravel, the edge of a mossy root, the pale curve of a stone. Beyond each circle, the forest is a soft outline, pines breathing resin, ferns folding their hands for the night. The air is cool enough to make the skin pay attention. Somewhere far off, water talks to itself. A hand lifts the first lantern to check the flame. It is content, a patient bead of fire held by a cotton wick that remembers daylight. When the lantern is set back down, its glow settles across the path and stops exactly where darkness begins, as if the evening had drawn a line with a brush and the lamp agreed. Here is plenty. Moths arrive and circle without haste. A small beetle pauses at the edge of the light, considers it, and continues across as if crossing a shallow stream. The path does not announce where it ends. It only offers the next patch of certainty. The body understands this better than the mind. Feet find the grit of sandstone and let it do the work of traction. Ankles loosen their quiet guard. Calves release the day's climb. Knees swing without complaint. Hips tilt until the body's weight pours down into the soles and spreads out into earth. The spine rises, stacked lanterns in the back, each vertebra a small, kind window, holding its own flame. Breathe with the lamps. Inhale for 4. Cool and simple through the nose, letting the ribs widen as if making room for light. Exhale for 6 or 7, a warm ribbon unspooling, the belly lowering as a lantern is set gently back on its hook. At the end of the exhale, wait the length of a blink, a stillness like the dark line between 2 pools of glow. Then begin again, and notice how the next circle of light appears just where you need it. Gravel and pine needles compose the music of walking. Each step has a grain to it, a soft hush that says you are part of the forest conversation. The first lantern yields its importance the moment you leave it. The second becomes the whole world, then the third, then the fourth. There is no ceremony in the exchange, only a smooth passing of attention from one small certainty to the next. The mind asks once, how long, how far, and receives the answer the path always gives. This far. On the left, a cedar has dropped a ladder of bark. One rung glows, the rest are suggestion. On the right, the slope falls away into a deeper dark, where crickets keep steady time. Their song is a thread that holds the hills together. Above, between needles, the earliest stars test the sky and decide to stay. The lantern glass fogs and clears with the night's breath, a little cloud that writes and erases the same word. Here. Hands hang loose, palms empty of plans. The tongue rests broad and quiet, a river in its bed. The brow remembers it is only weather and smooths itself. Shoulders become 2 doors opening away from the spine. The back expands like a bellows that has learned an easier rhythm. If a thought rises to see the end of the road, it is treated like a deer glimpsed beyond the trees, acknowledged, unchased, left to be itself. The end of the road is made of these steps anyway. A small bend appears, lit not all at once but in slices. First the curve of a root, then the darker wedge of earth cut by rain, then the modest bridge of 2 flat stones over a runnel you can hear but not yet see. When you reach it, the water reveals itself in 3 silver threads. The lantern's light lays a steady bar across each thread, and for a moment the stream wears jewelry. Step on the stones and feel how they accept weight with no argument. Breath mirrors the crossing. Inhale on the approach. Exhale as the foot lands. Inhale on the lift. Exhale on the second landing. The bridge is finished before the mind finishes its sentence about crossing. You pass another lantern that sits slightly lower, its stake set deep in the damp soil. It smells faintly of oil and cedar smoke. The paper shade wears a tiny repair where someone fixed a tear with thin rice tape. The patch makes its own brightness when the flame leans that way, proof that mending is a kind of light. Breathe into that idea. Let the exhale find the places inside that have been carefully taped, and know they shine too when attention passes over them. Ahead, the path climbs 3 shallow steps, cut into the hill and held by a beam of old wood. The first step is clearly lit, the second is half guess. The third is a suggestion more than a fact. Place the foot anyway and feel the body's competence wake without drama. The ankle listens, the knee adjusts, the hip gives a whisper of support, and the torso floats forward as if remembering a choreography it learned in childhood. You do not need the top of the stairs to know how to climb. You only need the next riser. The lanterns are not evenly spaced. Some are closer where the ground tilts or the roots are mischievous. Some are a dozen paces apart where the path is plain. This is how attention works when it is wise. More light for tricky ground. More space where things are simple. If you notice your breath shortening for no reason other than the mind's excitement about shadows, lengthen the next exhale by the width of a heartbeat. One longer out-breath, then another, and the body remembers that darkness is just a room with the lights down. A clearing appears as a surprise. First, a widening of air, then the scent of crushed mint where someone's foot once strayed, then the feeling that the trees have decided to stand farther apart to make room for a thought. In the center, a low bench has been worn smooth by conversations with rain. A lantern hangs from a simple hook beside it, its glow ovaling the seat with an invitation that says, "Sit if you like, stand if you prefer. Either way is enough." If you sit, the wood accepts your weight with a sigh you can feel. If you stand, the body acknowledges the possibility of rest as a kind of rest. Follow one breath down to where it becomes weight in the belly. Let the breath gather there like warm tea pooled in a bowl. On the exhale, feel that warmth spread into the hips and out along the thighs, into the knees, into the calves, into the ankles, into the soles. The feet become stones in a shallow stream, cool at the surface, steady below. On the next inhale, let the warmth travel up the spine, vertebra by vertebra, until it touches the base of the skull and softens the place where thought begins. On the next exhale, let the warmth slide down the arms into the hands, pooling in the palms the way light pools in lantern glass. When you rise again, the path enters a stretch where ferns lean in. Their fronds hold beads of water from an earlier mist, and each bead magnifies a tiny world. The lattice of a leaf, the pale thread of a vein. the memory of a star. The lantern light sets the beads briefly on fire, and they give the light back in a language of small moons. Brush them gently, and they release a scent that is green without being sweet. Breathing here is like drinking, the air cool on the tongue, the chest opening as if it had hinges. A gust arrives and lets go, a hand stroking the forest's hair the wrong way, and then smoothing it. The closest lantern bows and returns, flame leaning, steadying, leaning, steadying. Resilient, not because it never moves, but because it always finds its center again. If your attention does the same, there is nothing wrong. It is the motion that proves the flame is alive. When a thought tugs you sideways, let the next inhale tilt with it, and the next exhale be the gentle correction back to center. You are learning the lantern's way. The path divides at a cedar stump where fungi stair-step around the old wood like small porcelain fans. The two options look similar, both shadowed, both held by a modest thread of light from different directions. Which is right? The lanterns answer by not answering. Choose the one that feels a half degree kinder to your feet. The choice is a step, not a story. As soon as you take it, the path becomes the only one, and the lantern ahead approves by showing you the next 3 pebbles. Up a little rise, the ground softens under a quilt of needles. The sound of walking changes, less crunch, more hush. Pine resin speaks a low, sweet word, and then is quiet. The lantern here throws its light partly up a trunk, revealing scars where branches once were and now are not. You can see the years in those circles, the way the tree made decisions by growing. The body does this too, building rings from nights like this when it chose to trust small light over big worry. Inhale and feel that ring form, a new tenderness added to the old ones, a patience fixed into the wood of you. Sometimes the lanterns are not where you expect. One has gone out, leaving its stake black against the dark. You reach it and find the wick smoky, the oil gone to its work. You are not stranded. The next pool of light is already visible if you stand at the angle the path had planned. Between the two, your eyes learn a softer way of seeing, the kind that uses more of the night and less of insistence. The feet do not panic. They know the memory of the ground from a step ago and the promise of it from a step ahead. They preserve you across the small shadow as easily as across the glow. A small wooden sign emerges in light, its characters brushed on long ago and darkened with the weather of seasons. You cannot read them all and do not need to. What is necessary is already beneath your toes. A breeze skims the path from behind, gentle as encouragement. You realize the forest has its own way of saying keep going, and it feels like being accompanied by something that asks for nothing in return. Breathe with an image, hold a candle cupped in both hands, not tight, not loose. Feel how your palms make a windless room. Your breath is that covering. Inhale and you gather the edges around the flame. Exhale and you relax them without exposing the fire to gusts. Inhale, gather, exhale, soften, count if you like, 4 in, 7 out, or let counting fall away and trust that your hands know how to shelter what is small and bright. A narrow footbridge crosses a deeper run of water. Lanterns stand at either end like quiet guardians. When you step onto the boards, the stream announces itself with the confidence of a voice echoing in a hallway. The lanterns lay twin ladders on the water, and fish carry the rungs downhill with their shadows. Halfway across, the breath pauses on its own, surprised by the sound and the sight. and the pause is generous. Then the exhale begins, and the body continues, somehow lighter, as if it had been reminded of a good thing it had not forgotten so much as misplaced. In the distance, a gong sounds once from the temple, a slow ripple that takes a while to arrive, then moves through you like warm air through silk. The lanterns do not grow brighter, but they seem to know they have been spoken to. You walk 3, 4 more pools of light, and then pass another hook where a lantern will hang tomorrow. The empty hook is not an absence, it is a promise. The mind can be like that hook when you stop trying to hang the entire future on it. Along a straight stretch, the lamps are farther apart. This is where the night's texture shows itself, a weave of shadow and leaf, simple and deep. Your eyes adjust and find that darkness contains many colors. Your ears adjust and find that quiet contains many sounds. The distant water, the near rustle, your own fabric moving, your own breath sliding in and out as if through a reed. Longer exhale now, not because you demand it, but because the body discovers the extra space like a pocket in a coat you've worn for years and never noticed. The extra space is useful immediately and for nothing in particular. At a bend, a low stone marker hosts a tiny pool that collects dew. The lantern beside it sets a moon in that pool, and an ant pauses at the rim to drink a piece of the night. You stand long enough to see the ant lift its head and go on. This is how the path teaches without telling. It shows drinking and going on, light and dark, small lives doing perfect work, and your own feet included among them without fanfare. There is a section where the lanterns hang higher in the lower branches of saplings that bend a little with the weight. Light falls from above instead of rising from the ground. Your shadow becomes short and comfortable, following mostly beneath you. It feels like being in a gentle conversation with a taller friend who walks beside you and does not need to speak. The breath gets easy here. 3 steps on the inhale, 4 on the exhale, and the mind loosens its grip on the story of where this is headed. If a worry arises anyway, let it walk at your other side without asking it to keep pace. Worries tire when you stop tugging their sleeve. A few lanterns later, they sit on a stump and watch you pass. Later still, they forget they came. The path knows how to entertain a thought without feeding it. The ground widens into another clearing with a low stone well at its center. Lantern light gathers on the wet rim. A rope hangs, a bucket rests. You could draw water, but you do not need to. You listen instead to the square echo of the well's throat speaking back to the forest. Your breath echoes too if you let it, down into the belly, up from the belly, slow waves that tap the sides of your world and reassure you that the vessel is sound. Beyond the well, the path narrows again and edges a bank where roots make steps the builders never planned. The lanterns here are frequent, generous. You notice the care in their placing, the way someone thought with their feet when they chose each hook. Gratitude arrives unannounced, simple as the next exhale. You offer it nowhere in particular and everywhere at once. A last rise, not steep, and then a soft descent where the lamps grow a shade warmer. The air is richer with the scent of thatch and wood warmed by bodies. But the path is still path. There is no hurry in it. A lantern flickers once as a moth settles on its glass and then steadies. Your breath flickers once as a memory comes and then steadies. In your chest, a small circle of warmth persists regardless. Keep to the rhythm that has carried you. Light step, light step. The future waits wherever it is. The past rests where it belongs. Here, the feet move of their own wisdom. The lungs draw and give, and the lanterns do what lanterns do, make a small world bright enough for gentleness. Then pass the task to the next small world, and the next, and the next. Wind glides down the slope with the softness of a hand over silk, and the bamboo listens. 1,000 slim green bodies tilt together, not in fear, not in apology, but in an elegant yes. Their leaves murmur like distant rain though the sky is clear, and the tall culms draw long arcs, then rise again, then bow once more as the breeze changes its mind. At each node the cane remembers how to hinge, at each root the earth remembers how to hold. The grove is a school where the lesson is taught by air. Light falls in narrow ladders. Where a stalk leans, the ladder moves, and on the ground small coins of sun drift over moss and stone. A sparrow lands, rides a brief descent and lifts away, untroubled by the sway. The bamboo clicks, not sharply but like fingernails brushing porcelain, a gentle clatter of neighbors greeting neighbors. Beneath the soil, rhizomes interlace, a quiet city sharing water, food, message. Above, green sleeves comb the wind. Let the breath learn this easy bow. Inhale through the nose for 4, cool and smooth. The ribs widen in the way a culm widens between nodes. Exhale for 6 or 7, warm and unbroken, and allow the spine to lengthen down, as if a root had accepted your weight. At the end of the out breath, a small, natural pause opens. No effort, the grove holding stillness for half a heartbeat. Then, let the next inhale lift you like a friendly gust that knows exactly when to arrive. A monk walks the narrow path with his hands tucked into his sleeves. He stops where the slope begins and places his palm against one tall cane. The stalk bends under his weight, then returns when he releases. No complaint, no memory of the pressure stored as grudge. Strength is not stiffness, the grove hums. The monk doesn't say it. The bamboo says it by moving. If the mind today has tried to be rigid, holding a plan, a sentence, a face, it can set those efforts down on the soft ground here. Let the jaw unclasp and rest as a curved leaf lies along its stem. Let the tongue broaden and settle in its bed. Let the eyes rest back, lids light as bamboo sheaths. The neck eases because the weight of the head has been acknowledged and shared with the whole spine. Shoulders open like hinges that were never meant to lock. A deeper breeze arrives, a polite push. The taller culms bow farther, and you can hear the hollow music inside them, air traveling through a green flute. The grove doesn't resist, it interprets. Each stalk listens to the wind's direction and yields just enough, never more. Where one leans, another leans with it, and between them a small corridor of calm appears, a still axis in all the motion. If a thought rushes through you like that breeze, bow to it. Give it the room it asks for without handing it the keys. Thoughts travel on when there is nothing to push against. Let your body sway a finger's width. Sitting or lying, imagine you are rooted at the base, hips and pelvis as the clump, feet as the splaying rhizomes, steady, warm. Inhale and grow a quiet half-inch taller. Exhale and bow a quiet half-inch forward or down. Return through center on the next inhale. Rise through the crown soft as mist. Exhale and bow a whisper to the side. The movement is barely visible, yet the nervous system hears it and softens, reassured that you can move and still be safe. Feel the nodes, the places in the body built for changing direction. The ankles are nodes. Rotate them slowly inside your mind, letting the tendons unknot. The knees are nodes. Let them widen away from each other by the width of a leaf and feel the thigh muscles melt. The hips are generous nodes. Allow them to deepen into the bed or chair and notice how the lower back unfurls like a new shoot from a sheath. Along the spine, vertebrae are nodes. Visualize each one making a small bow to the next, a chain of kindness. The wrists are nodes. Let the hands turn palm up and receive their own weight. The neck is a delicate node. Invite it to remember the bamboo's secret. Length without strain. Curve without collapse. The wind hesitates, then plays again, this time with more intent. The leaves hiss, a soothing, sibilant hush. A larger culm leans until it seems it might fall, and then the torque hidden in its round body brings it home. Flexibility lives not only at the surface, but at the core. Bamboo is hollow and therefore strong. Emptiness is not lack. It is space that allows movement without breaking. In the mind, create a little hollow room behind the sternum. Inhale into that room. Feel the walls expand without effort. Exhale and sense a tension thread slip loose all on its own. Count the breath if you like. 4 in, 7 out. Or let the numbers dissolve and trust pace. Imagine the exhale as weight traveling down the culm to the earth, where soil accepts everything neutrally, lovingly. Imagine the inhale as light, green and bright, moving from leaf to leaf up the spine to the crown. At the end of each inhale, the leaves tip. At the end of each exhale, the base deepens. Storms come. The grove remembers every one of them and keeps standing. Rain once pressed the canes almost flat. Snow once crowned them with cold crowns, and still they bowed and rose. In the hard wind, some leaves tore. In the harder wind, a culm cracked, and yet even in breaking it taut. It had grown at the edge where there was less company, less interlacing of roots. Alone, things snap. Together, they bow. Let this teach the body to lean into its supports. Feel the mattress, the floor, the chair. Feel the breath like a companion arm through yours. You don't have to hold the gust alone. Thoughts can be weather. A remembered argument gusts through. Let the ribs and shoulders bow with one long exhale. Nod to the feeling and return upright with the next inhale. An unfinished task rattles like dry leaves. Let the belly soften so the rattle has nothing to strike. A sudden grief is a downpour. Allow it to bead on the surface, each drop an honest weight, while the core remains open and warm. This is not denial. It is the Grove's way. Receive fully and remain yourself. The Grove is never still in the way a statue is still. Even in airless moments, something in it shimmers. The small recoil of a stalk reaching true vertical. The subtle airy of leaves adjusting to light. In your body, stillness can contain living micromotions. Breath stitching quiet length through intercostals. Heart pressing a gentle pulse into the bedclothes. Fascia slipping a hair's breadth where two planes meet. Notice these minuscule movements and let them be proof of life without work. A cicada begins its slow engine, then quiets. A high cloud takes its time across the blue. Sun slides to a lower angle and the grove turns from gloss to satin. The monk touches two neighbouring canes and they knock softly, the small cluck of friends who know each other's timing. That timing is what your breath finds when you lengthen the out-breath by a single beat. The vagus nerve hums approval. The organs answer with a loosening that cannot be begged, only allowed. Bring attention to the hands. Imagine each finger a slim stalk rooted at the palm. Inhale and feel the fingers lengthen from their bases without curling. Exhale and let them bow the smallest amount. A wave travels through the knuckles, opening, softening like wind across a tiny grove. Now the forearms, a long, even cylinder with hidden fibers spiraling, ready to yield and return. Let the spiral unwind on the out-breath. Let it lightly coil on the in. Elbows unhook. Upper arms drape. Shoulders widen as if the collarbones had learned to smile. Move to the face. The brow is a leaf cluster. Let it spread. The temples are nodes. Let them breathe. The cheeks are sheaths. Let them release the stalks within. The mouth is a joint where words sprout. Set the joint down. Let the lips part a seed's width. Let the breath brush the inner skin like wind stroking the underside of leaves. Now the torso. Between each rib, little fans open on the inhale, close with ease on the exhale. Behind the heart, a slender cane rises without hurry. See it, feel it, and allow it to be the axis around which small bows occur. The belly, bless it, becomes round on the inhale, a quiet hill. On the exhale, it lowers in a warm tide. Pelvis tips until the sacrum finds its own vertical, not pressed, discovered. The lower belly is not a wall, it is a grove floor, springy with humus, supportive and forgiving. At the base, feel the feet or the imagination of feet if you are lying down. Each foot a clump. The outer edges receive weight like soil receiving rain. The arches spring like roots anchored in the unseen. The heels are stones, cool, honest. The balls of the feet are earth warmed by sun through leaves. When you exhale, weight spreads toward these places. When you inhale, the arches rise, drawing up a calm brightness. No effort beyond attention. Listen. A larger wind questions the hill. The bamboo answers by becoming the question's shape. Long, synchronized bows. A deep, communal whisper. Then the return, sure and slow. This is how forgiveness feels when it reaches the body. Not a trick of thought, but a bow and a rising that completes itself. If there is something in you that has been waiting for permission to let go, give it the grove's blessing. On your next exhale, let it bend. On the inhale after, let it stand, changed only by its willingness to move. Sometimes two canes cross and polish each other over years until both wear a shallow shine at the point of meeting. That is how companionship works among resilient things. In your chest, place a companion hand on the sternum. Light pressure, warm. Breathe under your hand. Feel how the breath rises to meet touch, then falls away. Polishing happens, quietly, kindly, where breath and hand meet. A shine appears no one else needs to see. A thin rain begins, scarcely more than the air deciding to be heavier. The leaves make a softer music, a linty hush. Droplets string themselves along the lower edges like beads, then tip, then gather again. The culms deepen in color, fresh lacquer, green remembering it is green. Moisture finds the sheaths and loosens them. A papery curl lifts and drifts down, landing like a small boat. Yielding sometimes looks like shedding. What is no longer needed will fall away if you stop tightening around it. Breathe with the rain. Inhale as if drawing coolness along the inner skin of the nose. Exhale as if warm drops were sliding down your spine to the root. Let memory bead without becoming a flood. Let plans bead without becoming armor. When the beading is done, they will fall on their own. The grove trusts gravity. You can too. The wind eases, the rain thins. A ray knifes through the canopy and sets a single leaf ablaze. The whole grove seems to turn its cheek to that warmth. You might feel a spot inside light like this, a muscle that releases, a thought that suddenly softens, a corner of the mind that loves being seen without being asked to perform. Stay there for a breath or two. The body expands around such places the way a grove opens, where a giant once fell and made a clearing. Evening leans in, crickets tune, The bamboo writes thin strokes against a paler sky. Each stalk finds its true vertical with unhurried precision. Not the vertical of soldiers, the vertical of living things that remember water. You settle in the same way, not held up by effort, but by alignment rediscovered. The breath has a different tone now, lower and rounder, like wind after rain. The exhale lengthens by itself. The pause at its end grows a little lake, where the heart floats and rests. No one tells the grove to sleep. It simply grows quieter with the light. Your body knows this grammar. The long muscles along the spine learn the comma. The jaw learns the period. The mind learns the ellipsis and trails off mid-thought without loss. In the small night breeze, the bamboo bows one last time, a courteous good evening to the hill, to the stream, to the moon rising patient and familiar. The bow is returned by the air, by the ground, by your own breath as it meets itself and is content. Morning arrives in thin silver bands across the water, and the fisherman sits on the dock with a net pulled at his feet like a quiet river made of rope. The fibers are rough with salt and years, smelling of tide and sun and the touch of hands that learn their work by repeating it without complaint. He turns the mesh in his lap and finds a gap no bigger than an almond. One wave too many, one stubborn branch, a careless stone. He threads twine through the edges and ties a simple knot, not tight enough to bite, not loose enough to slip. A gull speaks once and leaves the sentence unfinished. The fisherman smiles. The net answers by becoming whole in small places. Breathe with the mending. Inhale for 4, letting air stretch the ribs like a mesh opening to the tide. Exhale for 7, soft and steady, the way a knot closes without forcing. At the end of the exhale, rest for a heartbeat of ocean stillness before the next tide returns. He lifts the net and shakes it, and a fine rain of salt falls back to the boards, glittering, then disappearing. On the horizon, the sea is a book half open, each page a different wind. The fisherman knows the truth that keeps nets useful. They are meant to let most things pass. Hold everything, and the mesh tears. Hold what matters, and the net lasts. Awareness is like this. Let thoughts be water. Let feelings be water. Let yesterday's voices be water. The knotwork that stays is kindness, honesty, patience, places where the mind ties itself to what will not injure when the sea rises. Inhale and feel the net widen across the back, each intercostal muscle a strand. Exhale and feel the knot settle, the chest warm, the shoulders drop as if someone put a hand on them and said, "Enough." The boat rocks against the piling with the softness of 2 old friends. He stands, gathers the net in loops that hang easily from his forearm, and steps aboard. Out past the jetty, the water darkens, a deeper green that hides work beneath. The engine murmurs and then quiets. A slick stillness spreads behind the hull. He casts. The net rises as one, opens in a round breath, and lands on the surface with the sigh of a shirt spreading across a bed. For a moment, you can see the whole geometry, spokes and rings, order nested inside motion. Then it sinks without struggle. That is the practice. Open, meet, disappear into what is. Let the inhale be the cast, round and complete. Let the exhale be the settling, a circle descending through layered quiet. When the exhale finishes, don't rush the next breath. Feel the water hold the net. Feel the belly hold the pause. In that small holding, nothing is required. He waits, not counting seconds, but listening for them. The rope hums faint messages into his hand. A drift of weed, a small tug, a large stillness. He pulls and the net returns, The sea has written in it, 2 fish, quicksilver, 1 shell that taps the deck like a spoon, a branch that came too far and is grateful to be going home. He frees all 3 with different movements, the fish to a bucket of dark water, the shell to the pocket where it will become a story, the branch back to the tide. Awareness can choose like this. When a thought rises that could feed you, keep it for a time. When a memory arrives like a shell, hold it lightly and make it smooth. When a worry is only a branch, return it to the current. Cast again. Breathe again. The work is repetitive because the world is generous. Between casts, he inspects the mesh. He finds a broken tie and mends it with the same even attention. The boat swings slowly around the small anchor, and the horizon changes faces while remaining the same distance away. The sun slips its hand through a sleeve of cloud and touches the water. In that touch, everything is momentarily stitched in gold. The rope fibers, the fisherman's knuckles, the tiny ripple traveling away from the bow to go on a long journey to nowhere special. If the mind tries to hold a wave, smile and let it pass through the mesh. If a feeling fills the boat, remember the hull is meant to meet water and rise. If a current tugs you in a direction you didn't choose, adjust the body's weight, a longer exhale, an added beat of stillness at the empty end. Change the size of the mesh by softening the brow, widening the space behind the eyes, letting the jaw unclasp. Suddenly, what was stuck moves. Suddenly, the net breathes again. The day turns. He gathers what belongs to supper and returns the small ones to their roads. The bucket is not full, it is sufficient. He rinses the net and drapes it across 2 wooden pegs. Water streams in threads, then drops, then nothing. A breeze moves through and the mesh shivers itself dry, ready to meet tomorrow's sea with the same willingness to let almost everything go. You feel that same readiness now. Inhale, ribs open. Exhale, knots settle, mesh intact. Sea aloud, hands clean, mind light. Snow falls as if the sky were exhaling feathers, sound bled soft from the hills. The temple path is a blank scroll, and the first step writes a character you can read from the doorway. The snow gives underfoot with a fine, patient sigh. Each print is a small bowl pressed into light, rim bright, center shadowed, edges crisp where cold air holds the shape. Breath blossoms in front of the mouth and vanishes. The village roofs do the same with their chimneys. The bell rope wears a white sleeve. The world is held in the gentlest bracket. Step, step. Inhale with the lift. Exhale with the planting. If you count, count to 2. Not because 2 is sacred, but because it fits the rhythm of walking into a quiet place. 1. The foot rises, the body floats a fraction freer of earth. 2. The other foot lands, and the earth accepts you with kindness. Pause the width of a heartbeat between, the way snow pauses in the air just before it joins its own. The teacher's broom lies unused. There is nothing to sweep here. The work is to walk without carving more than is needed. You place the next footprint inside the lantern light, choosing a line that avoids the sleeping rosemary, that respects the fern's bowed head. Responsibility without anxiety. Care for what your foot knows now. The sun will tend the rest later. A fox has passed earlier, writing its thoughts in tidy pairs across the temple's shoulder. Its path crosses yours like a polite greeting from another language. A jay's print begins as 4 delicate stars at the edge of the step and explodes into brushed arcs where it lifted. The wind, a quiet editor, erases a little and leaves a little. The story remains true without insisting on its words. Breath balances between the cool at the nostrils and the warm at the throat. Inhale for 4, the chest expanding into the cold like a lantern swelling to meet its flame. Exhale for 6 or 7, the belly easing and heat drifting through you into air that carries it upward without waste. The silence around each breath is large. It holds the rare sound with generosity, a branch releasing snow, a distant door closing, your own fabric whispering as an arm lifts to tuck a sleeve. Each footprint has 2 teachings. What pressed down matters, what remains will soften. The pressure you apply to the world is real. Your choices, your words, the weight of your attention. And the world changes. Morning sun, evening drift, the random mercy of wind. Between these two, an easy way. Step with care and let the day tenderly edit what was too heavy. Look back once. A simple trail from door to gate, from gate to grove, from grove to the beginning of the path you don't see anymore. The prints behind you seem smaller, already blurred at the edge, already thinking about returning to white. You cannot fix them now. You would only make them deeper. The next step is your only instrument. It does not have to redeem the others. It only has to be placed well. Walk to the gate and stop. Feel how stillness makes a print of its own. The body rests into gravity the way a hand rests into a mitten. Exact fit, immediate warmth. The face unknots in the places that hold the weather too tightly. Bridge of nose, corners of eyes, the small crease where thought likes to perch and judge. Allow the eyes to soften their focus until the world is a gentle blur, shapes and light more than names. The snow becomes a single, continuous kindness instead of a map you must memorize. The sun considers the ridge and shows a coin of itself. Light aligns along the crystals and the whole field sparkles, not with excitement, but with purity that has nothing to do with earning. Your breath slides in and out easier, as if it had found a lane kept just for it. On the next exhale, let the shoulders set down the day's pack. On the inhale after that, feel the chest make room for heat without clutching it. A novice steps from the kitchen with a bucket of peelings for the compost. Their prints cross yours. 2 lines intersect politely. They nod. The steam from the bucket rises in chords that fray and vanish. You see how simple goodness is in winter. Carry what feeds the earth back to the earth. Return the breath to air. Return a glance. Continue. Your prints accompany theirs for a few steps, like 2 conversations walking together before parting for their own doors. Turn back. Place your feet inside your own earlier steps for a while. The impression deepens, but the path becomes easier to follow. Sometimes this is wise. Honor the pattern that worked. Wear the groove smooth until it serves. Then step out of the prints and make a slight correction. An arc, a degree to the left to avoid the sleeping moss, or to see the bamboo from another angle. Direction changes with 1 step. The past does not protest. At the threshold, brush snow from your boots with a small broom that lives by the door. The bristles speak a soft word to the leather, to the wood, to the mat that has met 100 small returns. The first warmth from the interior air touches your face. Let your breath lengthen to meet it. Melt gathers at the edges of your prints on the step and runs together, then disappears into boards that remember other snows, other mornings. What you made in the world is fade in the way all marks do. What remains is the way you stepped, steady, kind, awake enough to choose where the next foot would land. The scholar sits with his back straight and intentions sharper than the evening's ink. Words crowd the doorway of his mouth, each asking to enter first. The monk places a small cup on the table and warms it with water that has just learned to sing. The steam moves like visible breath, then accepts its own vanishing. Leaves rest in the bowl, twisted, patient, carrying hills inside their curls. The kettle sighs once more and quiets like an elder who has said enough. The monk pours. The cup fills, not quickly, not slowly, until it is full. The stream does not stop immediately, and the tea steps over the rim, pools in the saucer, then trails toward the table's slight dip, where previous evenings taught the wood to expect such generosity. Stop, the scholar says, and in that single word, there are 100 others. The monk sets the kettle down without hurry. The room hears the sound die. Your mind, says the monk as if stating the weather, is like this cup. Beginner's mind is not a concept the tongue can hold. It is an empty cup the hands can feel. The monk lifts a cloth and wipes away the overflow, the way the ocean wipes yesterday's footprints. Nothing personal, nothing dramatic, simply making space for what comes next. The scholar watches his own surprise fade into the steam. The cup waits. Waiting is the first lesson, and it is a complete one. Breathe as the cup breathes. Inhale for 4, cool and light, widening the space behind the breastbone the way a warmed cup grows a whisper more generous in the hand. Exhale for 7, smooth, letting the belly lower and the shoulders return to their origins. At the end of the exhale, let the cup inside you rest, a silence that is not empty, but ready. The leaves meet water. They unfurl information without speech. Hillside, rain, morning hands, a noon wind that turned the field one way and then back again. The surface of the cup holds a moon of lamplight, the circle unbroken. The monk lifts the cup with 2 fingers and a thumb, a gentle tripod that does not grip. The first sip is small as kindness. Heat travels to the throat and writes its name in calming strokes. The mouth learns a softness it forgot while learning to argue. Emptying is a posture, not an event. On the next exhale, set one thing down. Perhaps it is a sentence you've been polishing past usefulness. Perhaps an intention that has grown teeth. Perhaps a question that can survive the night without you. Each exhale tips the cup a little. A bead of what is extra runs to the rim and returns to the bowl of the body that knows what to do with it. The inhale is simple. It arrives. It does not take more than it needs. The scholar's shoulders lower without permission from the head. The monk notices the second steep turning the color of late afternoon. Space makes flavor, the room seems to say. In the mind, space makes understanding, not accumulation, room. You can taste more when the tongue is not crowded by yesterday. You can learn when a page still has white on it. Let the next breath clear a shelf inside your chest. Imagine each inhale sliding a book back to its place. Imagine each exhale dusting the wood. Do not read, not now. You will remember what matters. The rest will come if called. The cup in the hand cools to perfect, and the hand around the cup warms to meet it. Meeting is the whole art, water with leaf, mouth with cup, awareness with this exact moment and no other. The monk pours again, shorter this time. The leaves give a different voice, softer, rounder, a tone with less intention and more truth. The scholar does not speak. Speaking would be overflow. Silence is not a performance. It is an empty room where the tea can be itself. The scholar notices a muscle along the jaw surrender, a small untying. The tongue sits wide and unstressed. Behind the eyes, a lightness appears as if someone opened a window in a quiet house and let evening slide through. If thoughts gather at the rim of the mind and peer in, nod and let them take a seat. Do not pour them into the cup to see if the tea will hold. The cup's job is not to hold everything. It is to host one thing beautifully. Let the breath choose a single object to host. The air at the nostrils, the warmth within the sternum, the bowl of the belly rising and falling. One guest. Hospitality is deepened by limitation. The kettle ticks as it gives back its heat to the room. The cup empties to half. The half-full cup is the most generous, enough to share without spilling, light enough to lift without effort. The scholar notices how the wrist, freed of the need to control, moves with a quiet grace that was always there. The monk notices without commentary. Tea is teaching both of them. On the next exhale, imagine pouring out the day's sediment, not the gold, the small kindnesses, the earned fatigue, the honest work. Keep those at the bottom like warmth. Pour the rest, the argument you rehearsed, the imagined replies, the unhelpful comparison that sat like a stone. Watch them go in the mind's bowl as the tea-cooled water receives reduced heat. No drama. Gravity and intention handle the task together. Inhale again and feel the space the pouring made. Space feels like ease behind the heart, like air moving farther down the back, like the neck becoming a place where the head is placed rather than held. The eyes do a small thing. They stop reaching. The ears do a small thing. They stop hunting. The breath continues its small job of being enough. The last steep is light, but not empty. It carries a tender sweetness, like a story told again in fewer words, important because it has released its need to convince. The monk tips the bowl to show the fond at the bottom, a tiny galaxy of leaves and dust. The scholar sees and does not need to interpret. He understands now, in the way understanding sometimes happens. Quietly, like a cup setting itself down on wood and causing the wood to notice it has always been a table. There is room for sleep in a mind like this. There is room for one more breath, and one more, each poured to the brim of what is necessary and not a drop beyond. The cup rests empty and ready. The chest rests empty and ready. The night pours itself without spilling. The novice had heard there was a gate somewhere, an old arch that opened straight into understanding. He walked the temple's perimeter at first light, fingertips grazing rough plaster and the cool iron rings of hinges that led only to storerooms, gardens, kitchens. He counted steps along each wall, peered behind bamboo screens, stood on stones, and looked for carvings. He found doors that creaked, doors that sang, doors that stuck. He found gates that led to courtyards. He found latches that had not been touched in years. The one he sought did not appear. The monastery woke around him. Brooms starting their soft work, kettles practicing the first notes of heat, sandals finding their straps. Yet the rumour of the Zen gate kept tugging his sleeve. Where the outer wall turned toward the pines, two broad stones stood with space between them. The gap was nothing special. Shoulder-wide, a clean view of grass, a slope, the early line of sun. The novice lingered because lingering had become his habit. The teacher approached carrying nothing, posture the colour of calm. "Is this it?" the novice wanted to ask. The teacher did not make him ask. "Walk through," she said, and waited. The novice stepped between the stones. Nothing changed, except that everything did, the light warmer by a shade, the smell of resin louder, the sound of the stream more precise. He looked back. The gap remained only gap. "The gate," the teacher said, "is space." She tapped the air where his chest had tightened. Most effort is spent on doors that are not there. Breathe into the place that thinks it needs a door. Inhale through the nose for 4, meeting the cool at the rim of the nostrils and letting it travel down the front of the spine like light poured into a well. Exhale for 6 or 7, slow and unforced, and feel the belly lower, the ribs soften, the shoulder blades widen like shutters opening. At the empty end of the breath, notice you're already standing in a room with no walls. Let the next inhale come without being summoned. As the novice walked on, he began to see gates in unlikely places. The pause after the bells fading, the small silence between two thoughts, the clearing that appears in a conversation when both people stop trying to win. He noticed where he invented thresholds. I can rest when I finish this. I can be kind when I understand this. I can sleep when I solve this. And how each sentence built a door across open ground. He tried an experiment. When a thought said not yet, he stepped as if the ground ahead were already permission. If you like, practice with the smallest steps. At the end of an exhale, hesitate a heartbeat and feel the body's gait swing on greased hinges. The jaw unhooks a fraction. The tongue widens. The eyes settle back in their sockets. The brow smooths its insistence. That is space. Walk through. At first, you will look back to see what you left. Soon you will forget to look back and discover you have not lost anything worth carrying. In the afternoon, the novice returned to the 2 stones and watched bees draw their yellow geometry through the gap as if through a familiar window. He placed a cushion at one side and sat facing the space. Time passed like wind without weather. Thoughts came in uniform, asking to be inspected. He stamped their papers and waved them through. Sometimes a feeling large as a storm front stood in the gap. He did not close anything against it. The storm looked at the welcome, forgot its job, and became rain. On your next exhale, step into whatever room the breath opens. If a boundary appears, test it with the softest pressure, curiosity instead of force. Much that feels like wall is habit and can be moved with one patient breath. Much that feels like gate is air. The teacher later found the novice at the stones, his face like the field beyond. "Where is the gate?" she asked. He pointed at his ribs, at his throat, at the quiet between 2 sounds. "Everywhere," he said, and the air agreed. Before the bell, before footsteps, there is the sparrow's clean note. It rises from the eave with the certainty of dew, holds the air by a thread, then leaves it better than it found it. The courtyard is a shallow bowl of pale light. The broom waits. The kettle is thinking about speaking, but has not found its voice. The sparrow says what morning needs said in a single syllable, and does not add a second. The teacher stands under the ginkgo and does nothing to improve the song. A novice arrives with sleep still folded at the corners of his eyes and looks up as if the note might be visible. The sparrow moves, a shadow among leaves, and sings again. Not more loudly, not more cleverly, exactly enough. The teacher touches the novice's sleeve. "Listen," she says, which is also to say, "You are allowed to arrive." Let your breath match that small completeness. Inhale for the length of the sparrow's note. 4 soft counts will do, and let the cool air brush the back of the throat. Exhale for 6 or 7, longer than the note but not dramatic, and feel the body settle 1 degree closer to the ground. At the end of the out-breath, notice the quiet that remains. It does not ask to be filled. Let the next inhale be the next bird. The day has its long list, but the list is not here yet. Here steam hangs as a suggestion above the kettle's spout. Here, a spider finishes a silver bridge and sits in the middle, wider than a coin and no more ambitious. Here, the boards of the veranda give a cool truth to bare feet. Enoughness creeps into the room the way dawn creeps into a cup, by reflection first, then by warmth. The novice lifts the broom, then sets it down, not as indecision, but as consent to stand still another breath. You do not need your breath to be deeper, purer or straighter. Make it friendly. Make it shaped like an answer to a question no one asked. The shoulders answer, lowering a small distance. The jaw answers by forgetting it had a job. The eyes answer by softening their focus until the whole courtyard fits without labels. The sparrow's third note arrives, and the space behind the heart notices it has been a room all along. There is a temptation to add, to be a better morning by making it fuller. But water does not improve the lake by explaining itself. The sparrow does not harmonize with itself. The monk does not applaud the dawn. You can rest your hands in your lap and let one small thing be the day's whole face for a moment. The smell of cool stone, the shadow of a leaf quivering with the tiniest advertisement of wind, the warmth where the robe crosses your chest. If thought arrives to compare, yesterday's note was brighter, this isn't as clear, I should be more. Bow to it the way you bow to a friend who is early and bring them inside. Let the next exhale host them, and the one after show them the door. Keep nothing but this breath, which was always going to happen with or without your consent. Consent makes it sweeter. A bell will sound later, and chores will walk out of rooms and take your hand. For now, the bird writes its single character on the morning's paper and flies to the fence. You can be the fence, simple, holding its place without narrative. You can be the paper, blank enough to make a mark feel holy. Inhale as the sparrow lifts his head. Exhale as he tilts it toward the light. His fourth note is not better than the first, and that is why everything is fine. When the kettle finally speaks, the note makes a modest harmony. The teacher smiles without showing teeth. The novice thinks the word perfect and then forgets the word. He lifts the broom again, finds the clear line where work meets ease, and starts. The sparrow sings once more and then becomes part of the air he has been part of all along. Your breath continues like that, barely noticed and entirely sufficient. Cloud slides across the peak, and from the village, the mountain disappears. The fields glance up and see only a moving grey wall where rock should be. The elder sitting on the steps does not look up. He has seen this story too often to forget the ending. "It's still there," he says, to the boy who has come running in with his hands like flags. The boy stops and listens to his own breathing long enough to believe the sentence. Feel your own mountain. Find it not in the hard set of jaw or the proud lift of chest, but lower in the broadness of the pelvis, the weight of the thighs, the reliable platform of the feet. Inhale and feel the ridgeline of the spine rise. No cliff, no tower, simply uplift returned by the earth. Exhale and let that line root, sitting bones heavy, knees wide, belly warm. The cloud you carry can move as it likes through this. Weather happens inside and outside with equal confidence. A thought builds from the east. An old worry that knows your shortcuts, a chill at the nape. A front masses from the west. Sudden sorrow, the smell of rain. Overhead, judgments form and cast a temporary dusk on everything. If you shrink to the size of cloud, you will be lost. If you take the size of mountain, you will be covered, not removed. Practice naming the weather without moving your feet. A gust, you can say, when breath grabs in the throat. A drizzle, when tears bead and do not fall. A whiteout, when nothing is clear enough to name. Then do what mountains do, nothing extra. Inhale through the nose for 4, as if drawing air along a long slope lined with pines. Exhale for 8, as if letting snow settle across meadows you cannot see. The heart slows, the shoulders forget their heights. The cloud continues, changing as it goes. sometimes lightning. The mind flashes an image harsh as glass. The body jolts. Perhaps the mountain remembers a fire long ago, but it does not chase the flame down the ridge. It stands, and the flame spends itself where fuel ends. If your thunder comes, count the beats of breath until it moves away. If the storm lingers, lower the chin a degree, widen the space behind the tongue, and allow sound to pass through without lodge. Cloud touches ground, and the world inside the world appears. Sights muffled to shapes, sounds rounded, edges polite. The mountain is still mountain, stable where goat paths cut, generous where water finds a way down. Your body can be generous to your weather. Make terraces for hard feelings to slow across. Carve gentle channels for thoughts to exit without flooding. You do this by breathing long and steady, by noticing the floor beneath you, by letting your back broaden like a slope that invites. Clouds forget themselves as they travel. The one that made a wall at the village is a ribbon over the ridge an hour later, a feather on the far side by afternoon, a memory at evening. What remains is the mountain's patience, and what that patience produces: rivers, soil, the quiet authority of something that does not need to announce it, survived because it never left. In you, patience produces the same, a river of attention that keeps moving, fertile ground for gentleness, an authority that does not require volume. When the sky opens and the peak reappears, no trumpet sounds. The boy who ran to report its absence laughs at himself by instinct, then forgets to be embarrassed. The elder pats the empty space beside him. Sit. Breathe like stone warmed by sun through high air. Stay long enough to know that when cloud comes again, as it will, you will not vanish with it. The mountain is you when you remember. The cloud is you when you forget. The remembering does not need to be forced. It needs to be found, which is to say, uncovered by one slow exhale. On the tip of a pine needle, a raindrop holds a world. The needle bows under the small weight, as if greeting a guest. Sky gathers inside the clear bead. Clouds turned right side up, the monastery roof made tiny and curious. Your own face bent to look, becoming a soft round mask. Wind considers and moves on. The drop trembles and does not fall. What is the teaching? The monk asks, pointing not with his finger, but with his attention. The novice leans closer until breath fogs the picture and then waits for clarity to return. The world fits inside this bead because the bead holds a single task: to be water-shaped by edge and gravity. Nothing extra. No room for a second story. Choose your drop. Let it be one simple place of contact. The cool at the nostrils where air arrives as if through silk. The rise of the belly under your palm like dough coaxed by warmth. The faint brush of air at the upper lip, subtle as the memory of a kiss. Pick one. Inhale to find it. Exhale to stay. When the mind wants to photograph every tree in the forest, bow and take only the leaf you are touching. If you lose the drop, and you will, return the way rain returns to river, by the most direct route, without blame, without a note pinned to your own shirt. The needle is still there, the drop is still there. Your attention is the only traveler, and it has learned the path now. Inhale to see the clear bead again. Exhale to stand beside it. Around you, the world does what it always does. Someone laughs 2 courtyards away. A kettle lid ticks as metal thinks. A fly scribbles a sentence in a square of light and leaves it unfinished. The drop keeps its vow. Your anchor can keep the same. Soon the edges sharpen. The cool at the nostril becomes cooler. The belly's movement more textured, the lips' touch more precise. Depth comes not from gathering more objects, but from seeing one object truly. After a while, the drop grows heavy enough to need a decision. It chooses by obeying gravity. It lets go. It falls a small distance, lands in moss, merges without ceremony, and is gone as a shape, but greater as water. Your attention can do that too. After holding one point long enough to know it, let go of the shape and become the wider sense of breath moving everywhere. Ribs, back, flanks, low belly, throat, brow. Then, if the mind begins to wander, return to the exact bead again. The practice is a pulse. Focus, widen, as natural as the drop's life. If distraction arrives dressed as urgency, give it exactly one sip of your breath and no more. A sip is often all a thought wants to be seen and will then join the moss on its own. If a memory comes with a story and a soundtrack, let the first two notes play, then bow and resume your post by the needle. The world inside the drop remains clean because the drop does not host what does not belong in it. The monk and novice watch in silence. Another drop forms on the neighboring needle, borrowing the same sky, the same roof, a slightly different face. The repetition is not boredom, it is mastery. The needle knows its work, the drop knows its shape. The earth knows what to do with both. In your chest, steady attention makes the same agreement with breath. Inhale, arrive. Exhale, belong. One raindrop is enough. He came at night with empty hands that had learned to take. He pushed the paper door aside with more noise than a door requires and found the monk seated with a bowl and a candle that burned as if nothing unusual had happened. "Give me your valuables," the robber said, because that was the sentence he had taught his mouth to say. The monk looked around at the small room, a robe on a peg, a cup, a cushion, the moon laying a path across the floor. He stood, lifted the robe, and offered it. "I wish I could give you the moonlight," he said. "It would suit you." The robber felt the robe's weight and did not know where to put his hands. He had practiced fear, anger, the quick flicker of triumph. He had not practiced being given what he asked for. The monk, having less, seemed to have more. He poured tea into a second cup and set it within reach. The robber did not sit and did not leave. Both were allowed. Breathe as if you were both of them, the one who is frightened enough to demand, the one who is quiet enough to offer. Inhale and feel the tight places that make fists in the chest. Exhale and place a hand over them, warm and simple. Inhale into the hand, spreading the ribs beneath it. Exhale and feel the sternum soften as if someone had set down a heavy bundle they had forgotten they were carrying. If you find a part of you that bangs on doors, hand it the cup without making a speech. If you find a part that wishes to give the moon, let it shine without becoming proud of light. The monk nodded toward the doorway where night poured its cool against the frame. "It is a shame to take a robe on such a beautiful evening," he said, "but it will keep you warm. Will you take warmth too?" He meant the tea. The robber heard something else and did not know how to answer. He sat because his legs remembered what chairs are for. The cup was warmer than he expected and lighter. He lifted it awkwardly. Heat traveled through his knuckles into a part of him that had not been visited in some time. Try this. With your next exhale, offer something to the room that cannot be stolen. Offer patience to the sound that interrupts you. Offer permission to the breath that wants to be slower. Offer a little mercy to the memory that still sits on the chair by the door. The inhale can be receiving, not as debt, but as belonging. Receive the night air, the faint scent of tea, the way your own palm feels against your chest when you remember to place it there. "Why?" the robber asked finally, not loudly. "Because kindness is what I carry," the monk said, and it did not sound like a lesson. It sounded like someone pointing out the moon because the moon was there. The robber looked down at the robe in his lap and discovered it had a patch where someone had mended it with care. He touched the patch. He did not need the robe as much as he thought. He needed the feeling in his hand. Compassion is not permission for harm. It is a strong fence that opens easily from your side. The monk did not invite the robber to live in his room. He did not sharpen a stick. He offered what he could afford to give without knotting his own heart. In you, wise giving has the same shape. You can hand a breath to a restless thought and not hand it your bed. You can say yes to warmth and no to injury. If anger comes, let it sit. Pour it a cup and listen until it says something truer than its first sentence. If fear comes, tuck the robe around its shoulders and ask it quietly what time it arrived. If shame comes, point with your chin at the moonlight and do not make it look you in the eyes. Meet each guest with the smallest hospitality you can manage. This is not a trick to make them leave. It is a way to make the house livable while they pass. The robber stood at last, robe folded back into the monk's hands. "I cannot take this," he said, which meant more than it said. He stepped into the threshold and discovered the night was larger than the room and kinder than the road. He turned and bowed without knowing how to do it correctly. It was correct. The monk bowed back and then set the robe on its peg. Not as a symbol, only because it belonged there. When he was gone, the room had not lost anything. The moon had not been taken. The tea cooled in the second cup, and the monk drank it anyway because it was good. Your next breath can be like that, something you made room for because someone inside you didn't know what to do yet. The part that demanded will learn the weight of the robe. The part that offered will learn the warmth of its own palm. The night keeps the moon for everyone. The bowl slipped in the wash water as easily as a memory and met the stone lip of the basin with a sound like a small bell startled from sleep. A thin line ran from rim to belly, a hair of absence spreading between two halves that still held to each other out of habit. The monk's hands stopped. The water kept its soft talk against the clay. Nothing cried out. The crack said what it came to say, and then waited. He lifted the bowl into the light and turned it until the wound gleamed, an honest seam catching the window's pale square. Around the kitchen, the evening made its usual shapes, the kettle's round shoulder, the chopsticks drying in their tin like reeds beside a pond, the salt jar with a grain of sea dust on its lid. The monk set the bowl on a folded cloth and dried his hands, not because haste would harm the clay, but because haste would harm the moment. Impermanence, he had been told when he was young, as if it were a rule. Tonight it was a visitor with a face. Gathering is a kind of kindness. He found the tiny chips in the basin and placed them like commas along the cloth. He traced the crack with one finger, not probing, simply acknowledging. The bowl had carried winter soups, spring teas, summer fruit cut into moons, each use a little warmth rubbed into its wall. The crack did not cancel those meals. It added one more. Breathe with the gathering. Inhale through the nose for 4. Cool and clear, and feel the ribs widen the way palms open to receive small pieces without dropping them. Exhale for 7, unspooling and soft, letting the belly lower as if you were setting each fragment down where it belongs. At the end of the exhale, wait 1 beat, the respectful silence after a friend finishes a sentence. Then begin again. You are not fixing, you are arriving. He brought out the old lacquer, the resin with its tree-scented patience, a small brush, a pinch pot of powdered gold saved for such honest work. Repair requires time measured in breath and dusk and the cooling of kettles. He cleaned the edges with warm water and a cloth, lifting the grit the day had left, and the clay looked back with quiet trust. He painted the thinnest line of lacquer along the crack's spine and pressed the halves together until they remembered their marriage. He wrapped them with a soft cord in a gentle crossing, not tight enough to bruise, snug enough to help the bowl remember its shape. You can do the same inside. Find the place in you that feels divided, the hairline line that becomes a canyon when you look too long without love. Inhale into that place. Let the breath be resin, sticky with attention. Exhale and imagine drawing the edges just close enough to feel they belong to each other, not so close they must fight. Wrap the place with breath, one around, one across, one around, one across, until holding is shared by time and not by force. The lacquer wanted darkness to cure. He set the bowl inside a low cupboard where night was already gathering and slid the door almost closed, leaving a finger's width for the world to breathe. Patience came and sat on the stool by the door and watched the minute hand forget its stride. Outside, a fox cut the path toward the garden. A moth touched the window and changed its mind. Inside, the seam made an agreement with the air. Later, we will be strong. Now, we will be still. Sleep offers this too. A cupboard of darkness where the day's edges soften into fit. If sleep is slow to arrive, do what the monk did. Keep the room gentle, dark enough for curing. Inhale as if pulling the cupboard door nearly closed. Exhale as if leaving a finger's width for air. Trust that quiet is part of repair, not its enemy. When he opened the door at dawn, the seam held. Not healed, not yet adorned, but steady as a promise kept. He mixed the gold with a drop more lacquer until it made a tender paste, the colour of morning saved in a bowl. He turned the bowl in his hands, brush poised. Where the crack ran, he traced it with gold, not to hide, but to consecrate. The line shone modestly, a river cartographing what had happened. He filled the tiny losses where chips had fled and made lakes of them. The bowl changed as he watched. It became more itself by admitting where it had broken. Breathe with the gilding. Inhale and find the edges you usually hide. The tight sutured scar of a word you shouldn't have said. The quiet cave where grief keeps its blanket. Exhale and run a golden attention along those lines, not to explain them away, but to let them catch the light. Feel how the chest loosens when no one is forcing it to be unmarked. Feel how the back widens when it knows it can be strong and soft in the same square of skin. He set the bowl on the sill where sunlight leaned in like a neighbor and the gold woke. In that waking, the kitchen rearranged itself around what had become holy. The repaired chair with its woven seat, the patched sleeve hanging from the peg, the old kettle with its dent worn friendly by years of returning to flame. The bowl did not ask to be precious, it asked to be used. The monk poured water into it and watched the new river line hold. The bowl would hold rice again, hold tea, hold cherries, hold emptiness. It had no fear of emptiness. It had learned how to be full of it. You can lift yourself that way. Cup your hands at your ribs. Inhale and feel your palms rise on a tide of breath. Exhale and feel the tide recede, leaving the shore of you shining. Imagine the gold line glowing, not hot, simply present, along the places you once apologized for. Perhaps the light runs from your throat to your belly. Perhaps it runs through your palm to your heart. Perhaps there are several bright tributaries crossing your map. Let them be there. Let them be rivers of belonging. Later, a novice came in with a small shame caught in his mouth. He had dropped a ladle and barked a word at it and was embarrassed by both the clatter and the bark. The monk handed him the bowl. The novice traced the gold with a thumb and felt relief arrive without argument. "We all learn this way," the bowl said without speaking. The novice laughed, the sound retying something that had begun to fray. "If a day cracks and you hear the soft bell of it, remember, not all breaks are endings. Some are openings that must be rimmed in attention and time. Some are lines where light will walk back into you. Inhale, gather, exhale, join, inhale, bless, exhale, use. Set yourself on the sill of kindness and let morning find you. When it does, you will hold. 2 stones make a way across the stream, then 2 more, then a larger flat one that has learned how to be chosen. Water talks below, never minding that you borrow its back for a moment. The bridge is hardly a bridge at all. No rail, no arch. Just a line of decisions set in the current by hands that knew the river and its moods. It is easy to cross by talking, to arrive on the far bank and not remember a single step. It is softer to cross, by letting the stones teach what silence builds. The first stone is close to shore. You could stride it without thought, but pause and feel the bank under your feet, the packed earth that has listened to hundreds of crossings and knows how weight arrives. Inhale and gather your balance as if drawing your edges toward your center, a tightening not of fear but of readiness. Exhale and set the foot down on the stone the way you would place a sleeping child into a bed. The stone accepts you. You accept that acceptance. Between stones there is always water. Between breaths there is always quiet. Not a held breath iron grip, but a small meadow where the lungs do not work and the body is still being breathed. Let yourself have that. After the exhale, a beat. After the next, 2 beats. Never strain, never bargain. The pauses carry you the way the little ripples carry old leaves under the stepping places, speed in the water and stillness on the stones. A dragonfly inspects the bright plane your skin makes and writes a figure 8 beside your knee and goes on its way. The water's talk is a plait of many voices, one thread where it slips around a buried log, one where it fastens itself to a rock and then frees, one where it forgets to speak and briefly hums. Silence is not absence here, it is architecture. It shapes the sound and makes a structure for crossing. Your quiet does the same for thoughts. You can think across a stream of them if you let silence space them so each can be placed and passed. Step to the next stone. It wobbles, a polite reminder that nothing is forever settled. Your ankle corrects, a swift, intelligent bow that lasts the time of a blink. The body knows how to keep you when the ground wavers. It needs 2 gifts, attention and kindness. Attention to feel the wobble, kindness not to curse the stone for being stone. Inhale, notice. Exhale, soften. The wobble becomes a story that is already over. If talking happens, someone beside you, a wind that tries words in your ear, an old conversation restarting because the mind loves its dramas, allow 1 sentence and then let the next step answer. The step says everything needed. The water agrees by not stopping for you and not pushing you, by being itself relentlessly. On the big flat rock in the middle, stand a while. It is warm from the day. It has a small field of sand in a hollow where the river told it over years to keep a little of what passed. The field is a map of tiny crossings, ant prints, a bird's 3-pronged signature, the soft drag of your own heel. You can imagine living here, On this island of pause, longer than anyone expects, and you can feel how the shore pulls in both directions, asking you to come to one side of living or the other. The rock has no preference. It enjoys you, then enjoys your leaving. Breathe a simple square just once. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, rest for 4. Do not make a fortress of the square, make a doorway. Feel the corners round. Drop the count when it begins to feel like a fence and walk back into the easy metric you already know. Longer out-breath, gentle pause. Breath that returns like someone who knows the way home. When you step toward the far bank, leave one small thing with the river. It might be a phrase you've carried too long, a resentment you keep like a pebble in a shoe because it has begun to feel like part of your foot. An explanation that once saved you and now only keeps you from the cool grass ahead. Name it if you must, or let the water name it by taking its weight from you. Inhale and bring the thing to the edge. Exhale and watch it join the current without splash. Children come running from downstream, and their clatter of joy turns the stones into drums. They do not fall because they are looking where their feet go. They call your name and then forget they called it, and you laugh, the sound turning the bridge briefly into a festival. Silence does not resent this. It simply waits. And when the children have flown up the path, silence sits back down beside you and dusts its knees. On the last stone, where moss creeps up the side that faces the sun shyly, stoop and touch the water. Let your fingers feel how cold lingers under warm sky, how slick rock becomes when patience polishes it, how the current takes your skin for a traveler and goes around it kindly. Touch your own throat after and find there the same work, warm and cool, firm and slick. Patience polishing a voice you've begun to use less loudly. Cross to the bank. Grass folds and holds your footprints for a moment, then forgives them. Turn and look at the line of stones. They already look smaller, a string of bright thoughts stretched across a green sentence. You can cross back anytime. You can also stand here and do nothing. The bridge exists even when you are not upon it. The pauses exist even when breath moves. This knowledge is a weight you can put in your pocket and forget until your hand finds it again, round and reassuring. Return when evening has deepened the water to pewter. The stones now reflect a coin of moon each, and when you step on circles of light. No one is there to see, and so the moment is free of performance. You go slower, not because of fear, but because you want what night tastes like in the middle of a stream. At the flat rock, you stop, and the air has that loamy sweetness that says the day did its work and handed the world back in one piece. The river is the same song, lower. You place your hands at your sides, palms facing the current, and let the breeze cool your skin, and something inside says, "Thank you," without words, and the bridge of silence rises underfoot so perfectly you forget it was not always there. Dawn loosens a pale gold thread across the garden, and the dew answers by laying down 1,000 tiny lamps along the edges of cabbages and mint. The gate is open, but meaningless. The garden would be open either way. There are no nameplates, no fences between this row and that. Only a quiet arrangement of beds and paths that invite bare feet and careful steps. Hands arrive with tools and without claims. A rake leans into a shoulder. A hoe flashes once in sun and then becomes ordinary as it enters the soil. A watering can dips toward the cistern and rises with a sound like a low bell turned into water. No one asks, "Is this my tree?" They ask, "What does this patch need now?" Breathe like the early light. Simple. Enough. Inhale for 4. Cool at the rim of the nostrils, chest widening as if 2 hedges were opening to let you pass. Exhale for 7, the belly lowering, the shoulders setting down a small bundle you didn't realize you carried. At the end of the out-breath, rest the width of a heartbeat, the pause a pathstone between two beds. A novice kneels among the beans and meets a weed with 2 names, unwanted and beautiful. The leaves are glossy, the stem sure, the root stubborn. He presses the fork into the earth, loosens, lifts, and lays the plant aside on the compost where heat will someday turn it into dark sweetness. The older monk nearby trims a plum's sprout that points inward, a polite correction that gives light to the fruiting wood. Care, not ownership, makes these gestures true. Non-attachment, the elder said long ago, but the garden says it more kindly. Stay close without clinging. Love without labeling it mine. Try that with the thoughts in your own soil. Label the weed, not as villain, but as visitor. Worry, replay, tightness behind the eyes. Slide the small fork of attention in next to it. No jabbing, only loosening. On your next exhale, lift. Lay it gently on the compost of time. Trust that what you cannot use now will warm and change and feed another season you cannot yet see. The watering can arcs, and the sound it makes on dry ground is the sound of a body remembering thirst. Leaves brighten a shade, dust darkens and becomes honest again. Inhale with the lift of the can, chest rising, eyes softening to follow the curve. Exhale with the pour, long, unbroken generosity that stops exactly when the soil begins to shine. Move on. The can is lighter, and so are you. A line of carrots thins under careful fingers. The small are drawn so the remaining can fatten. Not a punishment, a kindness. In you, pruning is the same. A word not spoken, so space remains for the necessary word later. A task released, so the true task gets light. A habit bowed to and thanked and set on the wall with the old tools. Exhale the extra. Inhale a bit more room. A breeze folds the dill into small prayers and returns it. Bees choose their work without debate. A snail discovers a patch of lettuce, and the gardener lifts it, carries it to the far wall, and watches until it finds a new story to be part of. Mercy is a tool in this garden. It hangs with the trowels. Use it on yourself. If you find that you have chewed the same leaf of worry again, pick yourself up and set yourself down gently on the stone where sun warms the back. Watch until a different task appears on its own. Season speaks many dialects here. In spring, the beds are questions. In summer, they answer in colour and scent. In autumn, they push the last of their sugar into fruit, and then retire in a blaze that the wind edits to soil. In winter, the garden is a study in bones, fence, trellis, the quiet geometry that held vines. Your life is the same. Some breaths are planting, some tending, some harvesting, some rest. None are wasted. Each is part of a patient sentence the earth understands. Pause by the compost heap. Steam rises from its heart the way insight rises. Not because you forced it, but because you gathered what was finished and kept it together. Peelings, weeds, yesterday's wilt, now warm, now sweet, now becoming. On your next exhale, add one small thing you're done with to that pile. On your next inhale, stand a little closer to the present bed. A child from the village arrives with a handful of marigolds and tucks them in among the tomatoes. She has heard they guard with scent, but she plants them mainly because they are bright. The garden becomes a little more itself. You can do the same internally. Plant something lovely with no other purpose than to be lovely. A breath that tastes of mint. A memory of rain under a porch roof. A simple thank you set down with your tools before you go in for tea. By noon, The pathstones are warm enough to encourage a nap. By evening, the shadows lengthen and make the beds handsome. Tools are wiped and hung. Handles toward the hand, blades turned down as a courtesy. The gate may be closed now, but the garden does not belong to the one who latches it. It belongs to whatever arrives and is tended: beetle, wind, moon, you. Walk out with dirt in the lines of your palm and no claim in your chest. The garden goes on without you tonight. You go on with the garden in your breath. Inhale, dark soil. Exhale, bright leaf. Nothing owned, everything cared for. Wind undid the web last night, not cruelly, only as wind acts when it forgets small architecture in favor of larger errands. The spider returns at first light and listens to the gap where her work was. Threads hang in brave, torn cursive along the laurel. Dew finds their ends and pens a bead there, a punctuation mark at the end of an unfinished sentence. She waits one heartbeat longer than you expect, not mourning, simply measuring, and then climbs. First, the frame. One long line cast toward the far twig, and when it catches, a crossing to strengthen it, then a line back, triangling the morning into something it can hold, breath with her. Inhale. Choose the anchor, ribs widening as if fingers were planting themselves at the edges of your chest. Exhale. Cast, a steady length of attention paid out into space. Inhale. Cross. Exhale. Set. She steps those lines as if on tightropes she invented, testing, tightening. Silk sings a small, clean tone when plucked. Proof of tension that is not anxiety, but readiness. If you press 2 fingers against your throat very softly, you can feel a similar string hum with each pulse. Your web is inside you. Values for anchors, habits for crosspieces, a spiral of focus that will come later. It does not need to catch everything. It only needs to hold what is yours to hold. Now, the radius lines, spokes hurrying outward from the center like thoughts in a scattered mind. She places them carefully, each thread a path she will use over and over, each one meeting the hub where her body will rest. Inhale and imagine those spokes inside. From belly to shoulder, from heart to hand, from spine to brow. Exhale and secure them with breath. When distraction later gusts by, you will reach these paths without thinking. The spiral begins, not sticky yet, a scaffolding to walk while she builds the real net. Around and around, widening from the center as if knowledge were a ripple in a pond. Then, when the pattern is there, she returns inward, laying down the true silk that shines and catches, loop by perfect loop, an evenness that takes its time with each curve. This is how practice is repaired after storm, not by grand declarations, but by small circles repeated until they are a home. Breathe in circles. Inhale on a count that pleases you. 4, 5, feeling the air move down the front of the spine. Exhale a little longer. 6, 7, 8, feeling a circle close at the pelvic floor and rise up the back like a warm hand. Pause the briefest moment at the top, a glint of dew on a strand, then begin again. If a thread snags, if a thought or ache catches, stop, place, smooth, continue. Nothing is lost. Each interruption writes strength into the next loop. Sun sharpens. The web becomes a geometry of light. Angles exact yet soft at the edges where breeze breathes. A small gnat arrives and touches, then frees itself and continues, unhurt, the web bending and forgiving. The spider does not pounce. She regards. Not every touch is food. Not every idea requires pursuit. Let plenty pass. Your silk will last longer. A swallow skims the laurel, and the whole construct shudders, vibrato through every line. The spider lowers herself to the hub and stills. Stilling is not stopping, it is hearing. Vibrations settle. Wind moves on, amended by having met an instrument. You can do this too. When the day strikes whatever you've built, hang in the center of yourself and listen. Often, the damage is less than the mind predicts. Often, the repair is simpler than the heart fears. By noon, a bead necklace of dew remains in the shaded quarter, each drop a small lens flipping the world upside down and back again as the web sways. If you look through one, you can see your own face set in a small circle of attention. That's all you need to mend anything, a circle of attention wide enough to include the tear, narrow enough to make stitches. Inhale, thread. Exhale, draw through. A gust returns by afternoon and takes a piece the size of a hand. She does not sigh, she turns. The anchors hold, the spiral opens. She remakes what was damaged by repeating the shape that is hers. Start again. This is not a punishment, it is the craft. If your mind tangles, place one strand. Inhale, place the next. Exhale, anchor. Remember why you care. Crosspiece. Sit or lie where your body trusts the ground. Spiral. Move attention gently from breath to breath. Evening will find your web shining again. Different, perhaps better for knowing wind. When dark arrives, the web takes the moon into itself in 100 broken coins. A moth touches and leaves a whisper of powder. The spider waits at the hub with one foot on the messenger line that tells the truth of any contact. Patience is not time's jailer, it is its student. Lie back into patience now. Feel one thread under your heel, bed. One under your spine, breath. One under your palm, pulse. The rest of the web hums in the night air, whole because you were willing to make it so, whole because you will be willing again tomorrow if wind demands it. At the end of the path, the lamplight gathers in a soft square on the floor, and the teacher points to your chest with 2 fingers, as if tapping a familiar door. Here, she said once, when you asked where home is. She meant it literally and not at all metaphorically. Home is this breath, the forward step across the threshold, the room you enter that moves with you everywhere you go. Let the foyer open. Inhale through the nose for 4, the air cool on arrival, the ribs lifting the way a latch lifts when a friend comes. Exhale for 7 or 8, the belly dropping, the shoulders easing as if you'd set your bag inside the door. At the end of the exhale, pause. A small mat where you place your shoes. Inhale and cross the threshold without looking back at the street. The first room is the living room, under the breastbone where the heart keeps a lamp on even when you're away. With the inhale, brighten it a shade. Widen the space behind the sternum. Feel the shoulder blades drift apart like curtains allowed to part. With the exhale, sweep once. Let dust fall from old sentences. Let chairs find their corners. Let the couch of the diaphragm soften a centimeter deeper. Sit for a breath. This is where you greet yourself whether you've had company or not. Down the hall, a kitchen. The belly warms when you enter, remembering soup and tea and the way a good word feels like bread. Inhale and feel the walls of the abdomen move out to make room for what's cooking. Exhale and let warmth spread into the hips and low back. A stew of quiet that thickens as it simmers. If a worry stands by the sink, hand it a towel and ask it to dry 2 bowls. Work together without speaking. Soon it will wander off to check the back door and you will have the counter back. Turn left to the study behind the eyes. Bookshelves where labels used to shout have been dusted. On the desk, only what belongs. Inhale and feel the forehead smooth, the eyes settle farther back in their rooms. Exhale and draw the chair a bit closer. Not to work, but to readiness, without grasping. If thoughts knock, offer slippers. If they stomp, point them toward the porch swing on the inhale and let them rock out their energy on the exhale. You do not have to escort them to the guest room. Up a narrow stair, the small bedroom at the Crown, quiet as an attic where trunks keep stories without insisting you unpack them all at once. Inhale and lengthen through the back of the neck, as if setting a vase on a shelf just right. Exhale and feel the scalp cool, the jaw loosen, the tongue spread into a soft rug across the floor of the mouth. Pull down the shades, eyelids growing a shade heavier with each out-breath. The roof knows how to meet rain, your skull knows how to meet night. Back downstairs, open the back door to the porch of breath itself. Lungs broad as a veranda, ribs the rails, air a visiting friend that never outstays. Inhale and feel the porch take weight, post to beam, diaphragm to spine. Exhale and hear the cricket song in your own chest, the steady metronome that says, here. Here, lean on the rail for a moment and watch the yard, belly rising and falling, a garden in moonlight you do not need to weed tonight. If the mind protests that home must be a fixed location, an address, a lost year, a person, a chair, invite it into the hallway with the framed photos of other breaths, other rooms you've inhabited. Point to the common thing in all the pictures, the body breathing. The house has travelled with you through rain and moving vans and days that felt like being locked out in your own socks. You are inside now. The door was never locked. Do small housekeeping. Inhale and straighten a frame, your posture correcting itself without scold. Exhale and lower a blind, your gaze turning inward without shutting down. Inhale and set a pitcher of water on the table, your throat taking a slow drink of calm. Exhale and tuck the corners of the bed, the sheet of your attention pulled smooth over the mattress of your bones. If loneliness wanders in like a neighbour's cat, pat the cushion and let it curl. If grief arrives carrying its heavy coat, take it gently and hang it on the peg by the door. If joy knocks with both hands full of nothing but air, laugh and show it the porch swing. You have room. This is a house that expands to fit the guest list and contracts to be intimate when the party moves outside. When the lamp needs dimming, dim it. Switches are simple. Lengthen the exhale by a count. Pause a beat longer at its end. Breathe through the nose so air warms. Rest the tongue on the roof of the mouth. Let the hands feel heavy enough to forget their jobs. Curtains know when to close because the light tells them. Your breath knows when to soften because the body tells it. Trust both. Finally, come to the door you came in by and stand with your hand on the frame from the inside. Inhale and feel the cool from the crack under the threshold. Life still moving in the street, the day not erased, only outside. Exhale and feel the warmth from the house press against your palm. The two meet and neither wins. Lift your hand. The frame remains. Turn. Walk back to the living room, to the kitchen, to the small bedroom at the Crown. Lie down in the room that travels with you and let the breath show you the oldest address written on every letter you've ever received without reading. Here,